In the vast expanse of the cosmos, where stars twinkle like distant hopes and galaxies swirl in the silent depths of space, the colonies of Haven 7 thrived on the edge of a new era. United by a shared purpose and a determination to carve out their destinies among the stars, humanity reached for the infinite. Yet, amid this ambition, a dark shadow loomed, a sinister force known only as the Nyx. The Nyx, a relentless alien race bent on domination, had launched a campaign of terror against the colonies, seeking to extinguish the light of civilization in their wake. Their ships cut through the void like predators stalking prey, and their forces left devastation and despair in their path. Fear spread like wildfire, threatening to shatter the fragile alliances that held the colonies together. In the heart of this turmoil stood the Aegis, a state-of-the-art starship and symbol of hope, captained by the resolute Mira Voss. Haunted by her past and driven by a fierce sense of duty, Mira assembled a diverse crew of skilled warriors, engineers, and strategists, each carrying their own burdens and dreams. Together, they became a beacon of resistance, determined to unite the fractured colonies against the encroaching darkness. As the Nyx tightened their grip, Mira and her crew embarked on a perilous journey, a quest not only for survival, but for the very soul of humanity. Through space battles that ignited the skies and daring missions that pushed the limits of courage, they would face unimaginable challenges and forge unlikely alliances. In the crucible of war, they would discover the strength that lay within their hearts and the bonds that connected them all. But the path ahead was fraught with danger, and the stakes were higher than ever. With the fate of the colonies hanging in the balance, Mira must confront her deepest fears and rise as a leader when it mattered most. In a universe where darkness threatened to consume all, they would learn that true strength comes from unity, sacrifice, and the unyielding belief that even the smallest spark can ignite a revolution. This is their story, a tale of resilience, hope, and the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to be extinguished in the face of despair. Chapter 1. The Rift. The galaxy of Elysium was a swirl of color and sound, an orchestra of stars and planets that danced in harmony across the infinite dark. Ships zipped through its expanse, each carrying the hopes and ambitions of a species yearning to reach the stars. Among them was the Astral Dawn, a sleek cruiser cutting through the void, its hull reflecting the soft glow of nearby nebulae. Captain Mira stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the swirling mass of light ahead, a vast, pulsating rift that shimmered with unknown energy. "Captain, we're receiving strange readings from the rift," Lieutenant Rian Mendez reported from his station. His brow was furrowed, eyes darting across the console as if trying to decipher a complex puzzle. Mira turned her attention to him, leaning over the holographic display that illuminated their faces in a soft blue glow. "What do you mean, strange?" "The energy fluctuations are off the charts, fluctuating in ways we've never documented before. It's as if it's alive," he said, his voice a mixture of awe and concern. "Alive?" Mira echoed, skepticism tinged with intrigue. The rift had been discovered only weeks ago by a probe sent out to survey uncharted territory. Since then, the Alliance had gathered ships from various factions, all eager to investigate the potential for resources hidden within the anomaly. But what Ryan described sounded more like myth than science. "Yes, Captain. Look here." Ryan pointed to the swirling data on the display where lines danced chaotically. "These peaks represent bursts of energy that coincide with fluctuations in space-time. It's almost as if the rift is breathing." "Fascinating," Mira murmured, her mind racing with possibilities. She had always been drawn to the unknown, the mysteries of the universe that beckoned from beyond the stars. This rift could represent a breakthrough in their understanding of the cosmos, or it could spell disaster. She needed more data. "Can you isolate the source of the fluctuations?" "I'm working on it," Ryan replied, his fingers flying across the controls. The bridge was a flurry of activity, crew members running diagnostics and preparing for whatever lay ahead. Mira straightened, focusing on the view from the viewport. The rift loomed larger, a vast chasm in the fabric of space, swirling with hues of blue and purple, interspersed with flashes of white that sparked like distant lightning. It was mesmerizing, and yet, something in her gut churned with unease. Status on the other ships? She asked, glancing at the tactical display. The Astral Dawn was flanked by several allied vessels, their signatures flickering like fireflies in the darkness. Each ship brought its own crew, its own ambitions, and now they were united in this quest for discovery. The Starfire and Nova Horizon are holding position, awaiting our orders, Ryan said, his tone slightly more relaxed now. They're eager to begin the survey but are waiting on our readings. Good, let's prepare to move closer, Mira decided, heart racing. She had always believed in the power of exploration. The thrill of uncovering the unknown outweighed the risks. I want to collect as much data as possible before we decide how to proceed. Aye, Captain, Ryan replied, his fingers gliding over the console. The Astral Dawn began to shift, its engines humming with energy as it glided toward the rift. As they neared, the sensation of being drawn in grew stronger. The rift pulsed with an ethereal light, and Mira felt as though she could reach out and touch its power. The moment was surreal, intoxicating, and she was acutely aware of the weight of her crew's gaze upon her. They were counting on her leadership, her judgment, as they stood on the precipice of discovery. Captain, Ryan's voice broke through her reverie. I'm detecting an increase in gravitational pull. We need to be careful. Understood? All hands brace for maneuvering, Mira commanded, steadying herself as the ship responded. The bridge crew tightened their grips on their stations, a palpable tension filling the air. As the Astral Dawn approached the event horizon of the rift, the sensors began to blare warnings. Alarms echoed through the ship, and Mira's heart raced. What's happening? She shouted over the din. Gravitational forces are intensifying, Captain. We're caught in a gravitational wave. Ryan yelled, fingers dancing across the controls in a desperate attempt to stabilize their trajectory. Cut the lateral thrusters. Engage reverse thrust. Mira barked, her voice firm despite the chaos around her. They needed to regain control. The ship shuddered as it fought against the rift's pull, engines roaring to life. Suddenly, the ship lurched violently, throwing crew members against their stations. Mira gripped the edge of the console, her knuckles white. Status report, she demanded, her heart pounding in her chest. Engine power fluctuating, trying to compensate, Ryan shouted, sweat beading on his brow. We're losing stability. The rift's glow intensified, blinding in its brilliance. Mira squinted against the light, instincts screaming that they were on the brink of something monumental or catastrophic. Captain, the rift is opening. A crew member called from the sensor array. Something is coming through. Mira's heart sank as she realized they had pushed too far. She had underestimated the power of the rift, and now it was reacting, shifting, morphing into something alive. A massive shadow loomed in the light, gradually taking form. A ship, unlike any she had ever seen. Sleek and dark, it moved with a grace that belied its size, gliding effortlessly through the rift as if it belonged there. Raise shields, prepare for, she began, but the ship was already on them, a bright flash of energy erupting from its hull. The bridge was filled with blinding light, and Mira instinctively turned away, her heart pounding in her ears. The impact shook the Astral Dawn, alarms blaring louder than ever. Mira could hear the crew shouting, fear palpable in the air. Ryan, status, she yelled. Shields holding at 50%, but we're taking hull damage. We need to retreat, he replied, desperation creeping into his voice. Get us out of here. Full power to engines. Mira commanded, her resolve unyielding. They couldn't be trapped here. Not now. Not like this. The Astral Dawn roared to life, engines screaming as they pushed against the rift's pull. Slowly, the ship began to move away, but the dark vessel was relentless. It pursued them, maneuvering with impossible agility. Another blast of energy struck the Astral Dawn, and the ship trembled violently, shuddering under the force. Captain, we can't withstand another hit, Ryan shouted, panic evident in his voice. We're not going to make it. Keep us steady. Mira's voice rang out, resolute amidst the chaos. She focused on the view ahead, determination flooding her veins. They could survive this, but they had to be smart. The rift pulsed again, and Mira noticed the shadows of smaller ships flitting in and out, a swarm of dark vessels gathering. A cold realization washed over her. They weren't just facing one enemy. An entire fleet was emerging from the rift, ready to attack. Prepare to engage, Mira barked, adrenaline coursing through her body. The time for retreat was over. If they were going to survive, they needed to fight back. Arm all weapons. Captain, our energy reserves are critical, Ryan protested. We can't sustain a full assault. Mira gritted her teeth, her mind racing. Then we'll make it count. Target their engines. If we can disable their pursuit, we can make a break for it. She felt the weight of her crew's trust pressing upon her, and she couldn't afford to falter now. Firing weapons, Ryan shouted, his hands moving swiftly over the controls. The Astral Dawn shuddered as its weaponry engaged, energy bolts erupting from its turrets, slicing through the void toward the dark ships. The enemy vessels were quick, twisting and turning to evade the oncoming fire. But one was caught off guard, its engines sparking as Mira's shots found their mark. The ship exploded in a brilliant flash, illuminating the darkness, but the victory was short-lived. More ships poured from the rift, a relentless wave of darkness threatening to engulf them. Reroute all power to shields. We need to hold them off. Mira shouted, her heart racing as they braced for another onslaught. The bridge vibrated under the strain as energy surged through the ship. The enemy ships closed in, and Mira clenched her jaw, determination igniting within her. They would not go down without a fight. Another blast rocked the ship, and alarms blared louder than ever. Hull integrity at 25%. Ryan shouted, sweat streaming down his face. We can't take much more of this. Hold steady, Mira shouted back, fingers gripping the console. We're not finished yet. Just then, the rift pulsed again, a wave of energy sweeping through the area. The dark ships hesitated, their movements faltering as if drawn back by an unseen force. Mira seized the opportunity, rallying her crew. Now, fire again. With renewed energy, the Astral Dawn unleashed a torrent of fire, bolts of energy tearing through the ranks of the enemy. The dark ships began to fall, one after another, but more continued to pour from the rift. Captain, we can't keep this up, Ryan shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. Suddenly, a brilliant flash erupted from the rift, consuming everything in its path. Mira's eyes widened as she realized the rift was destabilizing, energy swirling chaotically, threatening to implode. Get us out. Now, she screamed, adrenaline surging as she fought against the panic rising in her chest. All power to engines. The Astral Dawn responded, engines screaming to life as they broke free from the clutches of the rift. Mira held her breath, watching as the chaos unfolded behind them. The dark ships, caught in the backlash of the rift's energy, began to implode, one after another, devoured by the rift's power. With a final burst of speed, the Astral Dawn broke free into the cold void of space, the rift shrinking behind them. Mira exhaled, the tension draining from her body as they distanced themselves from the chaos. Status report, she demanded, breathless. Shields are down to 10%, hull integrity compromised, Ryan replied, glancing at the monitors with a mix of relief and concern. But we're alive. Mira nodded, heart still racing as she looked out at the rift, now a mere flicker in the distance. They had escaped, but at what cost? The dark ships, the energy, the chaos. It was only the beginning of something far more complex than they had anticipated. Prepare a damage report and get our medical team on standby, she instructed, her mind racing with the implications of their encounter. We need to regroup and assess what we've learned. The bridge was silent as the crew exchanged worried glances. They had survived the initial attack, but the weight of the rift's presence loomed over them, an ominous shadow that hinted at darker challenges to come. Mira's resolve hardened. This rift was more than just a cosmic phenomenon. It was a portal to something greater, a danger that required their attention. And if they were to protect their galaxy from whatever lay beyond, they would need to act fast. As the Astral Dawn glided away from the rift, Mira couldn't shake the feeling that their journey had only just begun. They would have to return to confront the forces that lurked within the unknown. The fate of their galaxy depended on it. Chapter 2. The Alliance's Call. The cold, metallic walls of the Astral Dawn vibrated with a sense of unease as the crew regrouped after their harrowing encounter with the rift. The bridge, once bustling with activity, now wore a heavy silence, punctuated only by the soft beeping of consoles and the occasional cough from a weary crew member. Captain Mira stood at the forefront, her hands braced against the console as she gazed out at the stars, each one a distant reminder of their mission, and the dangers lurking beyond. "Captain, the damage report is in," Lieutenant Rian Mendez announced, his voice steady but tinged with fatigue. "We've sustained significant hull breaches on decks 4 and 5. Repairs will take time, and our energy reserves are critically low." Mira nodded, absorbing the weight of his words. Their confrontation had left them battered, and the damage would take longer to repair than they could afford. But time was a luxury they no longer had. "What about our allies? Have they sustained any injuries or losses?" Ryan hesitated before answering, his gaze dropping to the floor. The Starfire suffered minor damage, but the Nova Horizon took a direct hit. They've lost several crew members. Captain Thorne is requesting assistance with their repairs and medical supplies. "Of course," Mira replied, her heart heavy. She had seen the aftermath of battle before, and it never got easier. "Have we sent a message to the Alliance?" Ryan glanced at the communications officer, who was busy tapping at her console. "Not yet, but we should inform them of the situation. If the Rift has released those ships, we need to know how many more are out there." Mira sighed, her mind racing. The dark vessels had been relentless, appearing from nowhere and attacking without warning. If they were part of a larger force, it could mean disaster for the entire Alliance. "Send out a distress signal to all Allied ships. We need to know if anyone else has encountered these enemies." "Yes, Captain." Ryan turned back to his console, fingers dancing over the controls. Mira felt the ship's momentum shift as they altered course to rendezvous with the Nova Horizon. As they flew through the void, Mira reflected on the alliance they had formed. Representatives from various factions had come together under a common banner, united by the promise of exploration and discovery. Yet, in moments of crisis, she wondered if those bonds could withstand the weight of conflict. "Captain, we're approaching the Nova Horizon," Ryan called out, breaking her thoughts. "They're in rough shape." The view from the bridge revealed the Nova Horizon, a once majestic cruiser now marred by blackened scars and twisted metal. The ship was adrift, its lights flickering weakly against the vastness of space. A sense of dread settled over Mira as they drew closer. "Prepare to dock," she commanded, her voice firm despite the unease brewing in her chest. "Signal the Starfire to hold position. We'll handle this." "Aye, Captain," Ryan replied, his fingers tapping swiftly at the console. As the Astral Dawn aligned with the Nova Horizon, the docking clamps extended, locking them into place with a resounding clank. Mira could hear the familiar hum of the ship's systems, a sound that usually brought her comfort. But today, it felt hollow. "Let's get a damage assessment," Mira said, glancing at Ryan. "Gather a repair team and medical supplies. We'll meet them on board." Ryan nodded, already coordinating with the crew. Mira took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. The Nova Horizon had been a vital part of the Alliance, its crew experienced and skilled. Losing them would not only hurt their numbers but also their morale. Stepping onto the Nova Horizon, Mira was immediately struck by the stark contrast between the two ships. The once bright corridors were dim and filled with the scent of scorched metal. Crew members moved about with urgency, their faces drawn and weary. Mira felt a pang of sympathy as she spotted a medical team tending to the injured. "Captain Thorne," Mira called out, spotting the ship's captain overseeing the repairs. He turned, his expression one of relief mixed with exhaustion. "Mira, I didn't think you'd make it back," he said, stepping forward to clasp her shoulder. "We took a beating, but we're alive. That's what matters." "Have you had contact with the other ships?" she asked, looking around the chaos of the command center. "Not since the attack," Thorne admitted, his jaw tightening. "Our comm systems were hit hard. We're working to restore them, but it'll take time." Mira nodded, her mind racing. "We need to re-establish contact with the Alliance. If those dark ships are part of a larger fleet, we need to know what we're up against." "Agreed," Thorne said, glancing back at his crew. "We'll have our communications back online shortly, but we're going to need your help with repairs. This ship is barely holding together." "Let's divide our resources," Mira suggested. "The Astral Dawn has some remaining energy reserves. We can allocate some to your systems while we work on repairs together." Thorne nodded, appreciation evident in his eyes. "Thanks, Mira. I'll coordinate with Ryan and get our two teams working." As the two captains strategized, Mira's thoughts drifted back to the Rift. It had unleashed a force they were not prepared for, and she couldn't shake the feeling that it was only a precursor to something larger. The void held secrets, and she felt an insatiable pull to uncover them. "Captain, we've got a situation." Ryan's voice crackled over the intercom, interrupting her thoughts. "What is it?" Mira replied, concern flooding her senses. "We're detecting multiple vessels approaching from the rift." "Are they dark ships?" Thorn asked, eyes widening. "Yes, Captain, multiple signatures, and they're heading straight for us." Mira's heart sank. "Battle stations, prepare to engage," she shouted, adrenaline surging through her veins. As the crew sprang into action, Mira and Thorn exchanged grim looks. They had barely survived one encounter, and now another wave of enemies was closing in. "Ryan, keep me updated on their approach," Mira commanded, her voice steady. "We need to be ready." "Aye, Captain. They're coming in fast, but we should have time to prepare," Ryan replied, fingers flying across the console. "Gather all available crew and arm our defenses," Mira instructed, her mind racing with strategies. They would not go down without a fight. As the minutes ticked by, the atmosphere on the Nova horizon turned electric with anticipation. Mira felt the weight of leadership pressing upon her, but she refused to let it show. They had to show their enemies that they would not back down. "Captain, we're receiving a distress signal from the Starfire," Ryan announced, eyes wide with urgency. "On screen," Mira ordered, heart racing as the familiar face of Captain Alex Chen appeared. The background was chaotic, the ship rocked by blasts and fires that raged in the distance. "Mira, we're under attack," Alex shouted, voice strained with panic. "We need immediate assistance. There's too many of them." "We're coming," Mira replied, her resolve hardening. "Hold your position. We'll send reinforcements." "Mira, we're outnumbered." Alex's expression was a mix of fear and defiance. "We can't hold out much longer." "Ryan, plot a course for the Starfire. We'll need to cover their escape," Mira commanded, her heart pounding in her chest. "Aye, Captain," Ryan replied, already typing commands into the navigation console. "Thorn, gather your best crew and get ready to move. We can't leave them behind," Mira said, determination surging within her. "Understood," Thorn said, rallying his crew. "We'll join you in the fight." Mira felt a surge of adrenaline as they launched from the Nova horizon, their destination set for the beleaguered Starfire. The stars blurred past as the astral dawn raced through the void, the crew working in sync, adrenaline surging through their veins. "Captain, we're picking up the Starfire's distress signal," Ryan called out. "They're taking heavy fire from at least 5 dark ships." "Prepare to engage," Mira ordered, her heart racing. "We won't let them fall." The astral dawn emerged from the darkness, revealing the Starfire in the midst of battle. The once proud ship was battered and bruised, energy blasts lancing out from its hull as it fought valiantly against its attackers. "Ryan, target their engines," Mira commanded, heart pounding as they drew closer. "We need to disable their ships." "Aye, Captain," Ryan replied, fingers flying over the console as he prepared to fire. Mira watched as energy bolts erupted from the astral dawn, striking one of the dark vessels. The ship rocked violently, its engines sputtering as it fell back, a burst of flames marking its defeat. "Nice shot," Thorn called out, his crew cheering as they engaged the enemy. "Don't celebrate yet," Mira shouted, focusing on the chaos unfolding before her. "We have more coming in." The dark ships swarmed around them, their formations tight and menacing. Mira felt the weight of the battle bearing down on her, the knowledge that they were fighting for survival fueling her determination. "Keep firing," she ordered, her voice ringing through the ship. "We can't let them take us down." As energy blasts illuminated the darkness, Mira felt the thrill of battle course through her. The stakes had never been higher, and the enemies were relentless. But they would not yield. She would ensure that. "Captain, the Starfire is requesting immediate evacuation. They're taking on water and losing hull integrity," Ryan shouted, urgency lacing his voice. "Get our transport ships ready," Mira commanded, her heart racing. "We'll cover their retreat." "Transport ships are prepped and ready to go," Ryan replied, the urgency palpable. Mira's gaze swept across the battlefield, spotting the Starfire's crew preparing for evacuation. They were fighting valiantly, but the dark ships were relentless. "We have to move now." The astral dawn surged forward, energy blasts firing as they created a protective barrier around the Starfire. Mira felt the thrill of adrenaline course through her veins as they unleashed volley after volley, disabling enemy ships one by one. "Captain, we're losing shields," Ryan called out, alarm in his voice. "Divert all power to shields. We can't afford to lose anyone," Mira shouted, feeling the heat of battle encircle them. As the transport ships began to deploy, Mira focused on the Starfire. Watching as its crew scrambled to board, fear etched on their faces. They had to save them. They would not let the darkness consume them. "Hold steady. Cover those transports," she commanded, determination surging within her. The battle raged on, energy blasts lighting up the darkness as the Astral Dawn and Starfire fought together against overwhelming odds. Mira felt her heart pound as she watched crew members move with precision and skill, a testament to their training and resolve. Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the Astral Dawn, throwing Mira off balance. She gripped the console tightly, heart racing as she regained her footing. "Status report," she shouted, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Shields are down to 15%, Ryan replied, urgency in his voice. "Hull integrity compromised. Divert all remaining power to forward shields." Mira commanded, determination blazing in her eyes. They would not falter now. "Transports are away," Thorne called out, relief evident in his voice. "We've successfully evacuated the crew." Mira felt a swell of pride as the transports moved away from the chaos. But their victory was short-lived. A massive dark ship loomed in the distance, its cannons primed and ready to fire. "Brace for impact," Ryan shouted, the ship shaking violently as the enemy unleashed a devastating barrage. The Astral Dawn lurched, alarms blaring as the ship fought against the onslaught. Mira's heart raced as she fought to maintain control, determination surging through her veins. They would survive this. "Ryan, target their engines," Mira shouted, urgency ringing in her voice. "We need to disable that ship." "Aye, Captain. Targeting now," Ryan replied, fingers flying over the controls. As energy blasts tore through the darkness, Mira felt the thrill of battle coursing through her veins. They were fighting for their lives, and she would not let them down. "Fire!" Mira commanded, her voice ringing through the ship. Energy bolts erupted from the Astral Dawn, striking the enemy vessel with precision. The dark ship shuddered, flames erupting from its engines as it faltered, slowly losing power. "Captain, it's breaking apart," Ryan shouted, awe evident in his voice. "Good," Mira replied, adrenaline surging through her veins. "Let's finish this." With a final surge of energy, the Astral Dawn unleashed a torrent of fire, tearing through the dark ship's hull. The vessel exploded in a brilliant flash of light, scattering debris across the void. Cheers erupted from the crew, a sense of relief washing over them as they watched the remnants of their enemy drift away into the abyss. "Good work, everyone," Mira said, her voice steady despite the chaos. "We've saved the Starfire, and we've taken down one of their ships, but this is just the beginning." The crew nodded, understanding the weight of her words. They had faced darkness and emerged victorious, but there were more battles to come, and they would need to be ready. "Let's regroup with the Starfire and assess the situation," Mira instructed, determination igniting her spirit. "We'll get everyone back on their feet and prepare for whatever comes next." As the Astral Dawn sailed through the void, Mira looked out at the stars, each one a reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. But she felt a sense of hope, knowing they had faced the darkness and emerged stronger. Together, they would navigate the unknown, forging a path through the chaos and uncertainty of the universe. Chapter 3: The Harbinger of Shadows. The Astral Dawn glided through the void, its hull scarred but resilient. Captain Mira stood at the helm, scanning the vastness of space beyond the ship's bridge. The stars twinkled like distant candles, flickering against the backdrop of darkness that enveloped them. The remnants of the battle with the dark ship still weighed heavily on her mind. Despite their hard-fought victory, the looming threat of the rift and its sinister forces persisted like an ominous shadow. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Starfire," Ryan Mendez announced, his eyes fixed on the console. "They're requesting an update on our situation." Mira turned to face him, a mix of determination and concern in her expression. "Put them through." The view screen flickered to life, revealing Captain Alex Chen, his brow furrowed with worry. "Mira, I'm glad to see you're still in one piece." We lost a lot of good people out there. Have you heard anything from the rest of the fleet? Mira shook her head, the reality of their losses settling in her chest like a heavy weight. No, we haven't had any contact with other ships since the attack. We're doing our best to assess the damage and regroup. Understood. We'll need to coordinate with what's left of our forces, Alex replied, his voice steady but edged with concern. Our communications are still down. I'm relying on you to keep us updated. Absolutely. We'll keep the lines open, Mira assured him. We need to gather intelligence on those dark ships. This isn't just a random attack. They're organized, and I have a feeling they're just the vanguard of something much bigger. Agreed, Alex said, his eyes narrowing. We can't let them regroup or gain any advantage. I'll send my engineers over to assist with repairs. We need to be ready for whatever comes next. Mira nodded, feeling a flicker of hope. Thank you, Alex. We'll do everything we can to hold the line. The transmission ended, and the bridge fell silent, the weight of their situation pressing heavily on everyone's shoulders. Mira looked at her crew, their faces marked by exhaustion and determination. They had faced the darkness together, and now it was time to forge ahead. Rian, what's the status of our systems? Mira asked, her voice steady as she turned her focus back to the task at hand. Engineering reports that we're still operating at reduced capacity, Ryan replied, fingers dancing over the controls. Shields are back to 50%, but we're running low on energy reserves. Repairs on decks 4 and 5 will take at least another 24 hours. Understood. Let's conserve what we can, Mira instructed. Prepare a status report to send to the Alliance. We need to inform them of our situation and our plans moving forward. Aye, Captain, Ryan said, diving into his work with renewed focus. As Mira surveyed the bridge, her mind began to wander to the events that had transpired. The rift, the dark ships, and the chaos that had erupted in their wake. It all felt too surreal. Yet she knew one thing for certain. They couldn't afford to let their guard down. Whatever was lurking beyond the stars, it was watching them, waiting for the right moment to strike. Captain, we're receiving an urgent transmission from the Alliance, Ryan interrupted, his voice breaking through her thoughts. It's Admiral Verne. Mira straightened, curiosity piqued. On screen. The screen flickered again, this time revealing the stern visage of Admiral Verne, a veteran leader known for his no-nonsense approach. Mira, I'm glad to see you're still operational. We have a critical situation on our hands. Admiral, we just faced a significant attack from dark ships that emerged from a rift. We lost several crew members and sustained considerable damage, Mira reported, her voice steady as she delivered the grim news. Verne's expression hardened. We've been monitoring similar attacks across multiple sectors. These vessels are part of a coordinated offensive. I need you to gather intelligence and report back immediately. We cannot let them gain the upper hand. Understood, Admiral. We'll do our best, Mira replied, determination igniting within her. But we need support. Our energy reserves are running low, and we can't sustain another prolonged engagement. Reinforcements are en route, Verne assured her, his voice firm. But you must hold your position. We need a clear picture of their movements before we can respond. Yes, Admiral. We'll do everything in our power to protect our sector, Mira said, her resolve hardening. The transmission ended, leaving Mira with a sense of urgency. She turned to Ryan, whose brow was furrowed in concentration. Ryan, plot a course to the coordinates of the last reported attack. We need to investigate and gather any data we can on these dark ships. Aye, Captain. I'm already on it, he replied, fingers flying over the console. As the astral dawn set its course, Mira felt a twinge of anxiety in her chest. They were moving into unknown territory, and she knew that danger lurked in every shadow. But they were explorers, pioneers of the stars. It was their duty to face the unknown head-on, no matter the cost. The engines hummed to life, propelling them deeper into the void. Mira stood resolute at the helm, her mind racing with strategies and possibilities. The dark ships had shown a terrifying level of coordination, suggesting that they were part of a larger plan. Whatever it was, they needed to find out fast. As they approached the coordinates of the last attack, Mira felt a growing tension in the air. The crew worked efficiently, fueled by the adrenaline of impending confrontation. Captain, we're approaching the coordinates, Ryan announced, his voice steady but laced with urgency. No sign of the enemy yet, but I'm detecting debris from the previous skirmish. On screen, Mira commanded, her heart pounding as the view screen flickered to life. The screen displayed a field of shattered metal, remnants of ships that had once been part of the Alliance. Mira's heart sank as she recognized the insignias of several vessels they had fought alongside. This was a grim reminder of the stakes they faced. "Scan the debris for life signs," Mira ordered, her resolve unyielding. "We need to know if there are any survivors." Ryan's fingers danced over the controls as the ship's sensors swept over the debris field. "Scanning now? There are no life signs detected. It appears everyone is accounted for, but it's possible some may have escaped into the void. Let's send out a wide-range communication. We'll inform any survivors that were in the area and ready to assist," Mira said, determination surging within her. As Ryan complied, Mira's thoughts drifted back to the rift. It was a cosmic anomaly that had brought darkness into their midst, and she felt a growing need to understand it better. Whatever power lay beyond, it was crucial to unravel its mysteries if they hoped to defeat the forces that threatened their galaxy. "Captain, I'm picking up an unusual energy signature nearby," Ryan suddenly announced, his voice tinged with urgency. "It's emanating from a nearby asteroid field." "Is it connected to the rift?" Mira asked, her pulse quickening. "Hard to say, but it's definitely worth investigating," Ryan replied, glancing at her. "Shall I set a course?" "Absolutely. Let's see what we can find," Mira commanded, her heart racing with anticipation. The astral dawn adjusted its trajectory, heading toward the asteroid field. As they navigated through the rocky obstacles, Mira felt a sense of unease creeping over her. The asteroids were like silent sentinels, watching as they ventured deeper into the unknown. "Captain, we're entering the field," Ryan called out, his fingers deftly maneuvering the controls. "Adjusting shields to account for potential impacts. Keep scanning for that energy signature," Mira instructed, her eyes glued to the view screen. As they moved deeper into the asteroid field, the chaotic dance of rocks and debris surrounded them. Mira's instincts kicked in, her senses heightened as they maneuvered through the obstacles. "Captain, I'm detecting a concentration of energy coming from a large asteroid up ahead," Ryan announced, his voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. "On screen," Mira ordered, her heart racing as the view screen displayed the massive asteroid, its surface shimmering with a pulsating glow. "What in the galaxy is that?" Ryan muttered, awe creeping into his voice. "I don't know, but we're going to find out," Mira replied, her determination unwavering. "Prepare a shuttle. We need to investigate up close." "Captain, are you sure that's wise? We don't know what we're dealing with," Ryan cautioned, concern etched on his face. "I understand the risks, Ryan, but we need answers," Mira said firmly. "We can't let fear dictate our actions." Reluctantly, Ryan nodded, and the crew sprang into action. The shuttle bay doors opened, revealing the sleek craft nestled within. Mira felt a rush of adrenaline as she suited up, her heart pounding with anticipation. As the shuttle launched from the astral dawn, Mira took the pilot's seat, her hands steady on the controls. The asteroid field loomed before them, a chaotic maze of rock and energy. She felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, but she welcomed the challenge. "Ryan, keep the scanners running. We need to gather as much data as possible," Mira instructed as they approached the pulsating asteroid. "On it, Captain," Ryan replied, his eyes glued to the readings. The shuttle maneuvered through the asteroids with precision, the glow of the energy signature growing brighter. As they got closer, Mira could see the surface of the asteroid shimmering with strange symbols and markings, pulsating in rhythm with the energy they had detected. "What do you make of this?" Ryan asked, awe in his voice. "It's unlike anything I've ever seen," Mira admitted, her pulse quickening. "Let's get a closer look." The shuttle hovered just above the surface, and Mira activated the external cameras, capturing images of the pulsating markings. They seemed to pulse with a life of their own, drawing her in like a beacon. "Captain, I'm getting readings of massive energy fluctuations," Ryan warned, his voice tense. "We should proceed with caution." "Agreed. Let's get some samples and head back," Mira replied, her heart racing. As they prepared to deploy the sampling drones, the asteroid suddenly trembled beneath them. Mira's heart dropped as she felt the shuttle lurch violently, the sensors blaring with warnings. "Hold on," she shouted, yanking the controls as the shuttle veered wildly. "Captain, we're losing stability," Ryan exclaimed, panic lacing his voice. Mira gritted her teeth, forcing herself to focus. "I need you to stabilize our systems. We can't let this asteroid take us down." Ryan's fingers flew over the console, trying to regain control as the shuttle continued to shake. "I'm working on it, but the energy readings are off the charts." As the turbulence intensified, Mira could see the glowing markings on the asteroid pulse in a frantic rhythm, almost as if reacting to their presence. She realized with dawning horror that whatever this energy was, it was alive, and it didn't want them there. "Ryan, we need to get out of here," Mira shouted, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Just as she made the decision to retreat, a blinding flash of light erupted from the asteroid surface, engulfing them in a radiant glow. Mira squinted against the brilliance, her heart racing as the shuttle's systems flickered. "Captain, I'm losing control," Ryan yelled, panic evident in his voice. "Brace for impact," Mira shouted, gripping the controls as the shuttle was thrown backward, spiraling into the asteroid field. The world around them blurred into chaos as the shuttle careened through the debris. Mira fought to regain control, but the energy wave had thrown them off course. "Ryan, activate emergency thrusters," she commanded, her heart pounding in her chest. He scrambled to comply, his fingers flying over the controls. "Emergency thrusters engaged, but we're still losing altitude." Mira's instincts kicked in, and she forced herself to focus. "I need you to reroute power from the shields to the engines. We need speed." "Doing it now," Ryan shouted, urgency lacing his voice. With a jolt, the shuttle surged forward, narrowly avoiding a collision with a massive asteroid. Mira fought to steady their course, her heart racing as they hurtled through the chaos. "Captain, we're approaching the astral dawn. I'm initiating docking procedures," Ryan announced, his voice steady despite the tension. Mira's breath caught in her throat as they approached the ship. "Get us in there." With a final burst of speed, the shuttle aligned with the docking bay, slamming into the magnetic locks with a jarring thud. The doors sealed shut, and Mira collapsed against her console, her heart racing as adrenaline coursed through her veins. The docking bay opened, revealing the worried faces of their crew. Mira stepped out, feeling the weight of their gazes upon her. "Captain, what happened?" Ryan demanded, concern etched on his face. Mira shook her head, breathless. "The asteroid. It has some sort of energy. We need to analyze the data we collected and figure out what we just encountered." "Right away, Captain," Ryan replied, determination igniting in his eyes. As the crew gathered around, Mira felt a sense of camaraderie among them. They had faced the darkness together, and now they were stronger for it. They would unravel the mysteries of the rift and the shadows it harbored, no matter the cost. Chapter 4. Echoes of the Past. The astral dawn hummed softly in the background, the sound a comforting reminder of its resilience. In the ship's main lab, the crew gathered around a series of holographic displays, their expressions a mix of anticipation and anxiety. Captain Mira stood at the forefront, studying the data gathered from their recent encounter with the pulsating asteroid. "Let's break down what we found," Mira instructed, her voice steady as she focused on the task ahead. "Ryan, what did the scans reveal about the energy signature?" Ryan Mendez, still recovering from the adrenaline rush of their escape, tapped on the console, bringing up the readings. "The energy fluctuations are unlike anything we've encountered before. It appears to resonate with a frequency that isn't naturally occurring in this sector of space. It's almost sentient." Mira furrowed her brow, digesting the implications of Ryan's findings. "Sentient? Are we talking about an intelligence or just an active energy source?" "Difficult to say, Captain," Ryan replied, glancing at the others in the room. "But the way it reacted when we approached suggests it might have some form of awareness. There's a pattern to the energy pulses, almost like a language, but we're unable to decode it." Thorne, the ship's engineer, leaned in closer, curiosity gleaming in his eyes. "If we can establish a way to communicate with it, we might be able to learn more about what's happening in this sector. This could be a key to understanding the dark ships and their motives." Mira nodded, appreciating Thorne's enthusiasm. "Let's see if we can isolate those patterns." The more we understand, the better equipped we'll be to confront whatever threat lies ahead. As the crew set to work, Mira couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of a revelation. They were navigating uncharted waters, and the stakes had never been higher. The dark ships were relentless, and if they could uncover the truth behind the energy signatures, it might provide them with the edge they needed. Hours passed as they delved into the data, the glow of the holographic displays illuminating the lab in shades of blue and green. Mira kept a close eye on Ryan as he worked, his fingers moving deftly over the controls, trying to make sense of the chaotic readings. "Captain, I think I've isolated a consistent pattern," Ryan announced, excitement threading through his voice. "It seems to be a series of pulses that repeat every few seconds, almost like a heartbeat." "Can you enhance it?" Mira asked, leaning closer to the display. Ryan nodded, manipulating the data until a clearer pattern emerged. The pulses flickered rhythmically, pulsing like a distant star. Mira studied it intently, a sense of urgency brewing within her. "Can we translate it?" she pressed, her curiosity piqued. "Possibly, but it's going to take time," Ryan replied, furrowing his brow. "We may need to experiment with some frequency modulation to establish a link. If it is sentient, there's a chance it might respond to us." "Then let's get to work," Mira said, a spark of determination igniting within her. "We have to find a way to reach it." The crew worked late into the night, their energy palpable as they pored over the data. Mira moved between stations, offering support and encouragement. She knew that this was more than just a scientific endeavor. It was a mission that could alter the fate of their galaxy. Just as the first rays of starlight began to peek through the viewport, Ryan stepped back from his console, exhaustion evident in his features, but excitement lighting up his eyes. "Captain, I think we're ready to make our first attempt at communication." "Good work, Ryan. Prepare the modulation signal," Mira instructed, her heart racing as she approached the console. "Let's see if we can establish a connection." Ryan complied, his fingers flying over the controls as he set the parameters for the modulation signal. Mira felt a mixture of hope and apprehension. This was uncharted territory, and they had no idea how the energy source would respond. "Signal is ready, Captain," Ryan announced, glancing at her with anticipation. "On your mark." Mira took a deep breath, steeling herself for the unknown. "Let's initiate contact." As Ryan activated the signal, a series of pulses emitted from the ship, echoing into the vastness of space. The crew watched in tense silence, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Moments stretched into eternity as they waited for a response. "Captain, I'm getting fluctuations in the energy signature," Ryan shouted, excitement thrumming through his voice. "It's responding." "Can you decipher the response?" Mira asked, her heart racing as she leaned closer to the console. "Not yet, but it's definitely reacting to our signal," Ryan replied, his fingers moving rapidly over the controls. "It's like it's echoing back at us, but in a different pattern. It's changing." Mira's pulse quickened as she watched the energy readings dance across the screen. The ship felt alive, resonating with the energy signature as they reached out into the unknown. "Can we adjust our signal to match its rhythm?" "Trying that now," Ryan exclaimed, his focus unyielding. As they modified their signal, the readings began to stabilize, and the energy signature pulsed in sync with their modulation. Mira felt a thrill of excitement wash over her. This was progress, a bridge between their worlds. "Captain, it's almost like a conversation," Ryan breathed, awe suffusing his voice. "I think we're actually communicating." "Keep it going, Ryan," Mira urged, her heart racing with the thrill of discovery. "We need to find out what it wants." As the exchange continued, the energy pattern transformed, revealing new complexities that mirrored their own signal. Mira felt a sense of connection blossoming between them and the pulsating energy source, as if it were reaching out to them. Suddenly, the displays flickered, and a surge of energy enveloped the ship. Alarms blared, and Mira's heart dropped as she gripped the console. "What's happening?" "I don't know. It's like the energy is fluctuating wildly," Ryan shouted, panic in his voice. "We need to stabilize the systems. Redirect power to shields." Mira commanded, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We need to hold steady." The crew scrambled, fingers flying over controls as they fought to regain control. Mira felt the ship tremble under the pressure, and she could see the energy waves pulsating outside, thrumming with intensity. "Captain, I can't hold it," Ryan shouted, his voice laced with desperation. "The energy is building too fast. Divert all non-essential power to the shields," Mira commanded, heart pounding in her chest. "We need to weather this storm." As they executed the commands, the astral dawn shook violently, lights flickering and alarms blaring. Mira gritted her teeth, forcing herself to focus on maintaining control. They had to survive this. Just when it felt like the ship might break apart, the energy signature suddenly snapped back into its previous rhythm, stabilizing as the pulse resumed its pattern. The ship calmed, and Mira felt a rush of relief wash over her. "Status report," she shouted, her heart still racing. "Shields holding at 70%. Ryan replied, breathless but steady. "We're stable, but that was a close one." Mira nodded, her eyes fixed on the readings. "We need to analyze what just happened. It felt like the energy tried to communicate with us, but it almost overwhelmed us." Ryan scanned the data. "There's something about the timing of the pulses. It seems like it was testing us, pushing our limits to see how we'd respond." Mira's mind raced with possibilities. What if it's a guardian of sorts, protecting something within the rift? We need to find out what lies beneath that surface. "Agreed, but we need to proceed cautiously," Ryan cautioned. "If it tests us again, we might not be so lucky. Let's run a full diagnostic on our systems and prepare for another attempt." Mira instructed, her resolve unyielding. "We can't turn back now. We're on to something significant." As the crew began their preparations, Mira found herself lost in thought. This energy was unlike anything they had encountered, and it seemed to harbor secrets that could alter the fate of their galaxy. The echoes of the past reverberated through her mind, reminding her of the challenges they faced and the sacrifices that had been made. "Captain, I'm getting unusual readings from the asteroid field," Ryan interrupted her thoughts, his voice laced with urgency. "Something's shifting in the energy signature." "What do you mean?" Mira asked, concern creeping into her chest. "The pulses are intensifying, almost like a call," Ryan replied, his fingers flying over the console. "It's as if it's summoning something." Mira's heart raced as she felt the weight of the moment. "Prepare for any eventuality, Berth. We need to be ready for whatever comes next." As the crew sprang into action, Mira stood resolute at the helm, her gaze fixed on the pulsating readings. The energy was alive, a force that seemed to weave through the fabric of space. Whatever it was calling forth, they needed to be prepared. Suddenly, the ship trembled again, and the displays went dark, plunging them into a starlit void. Panic surged through the crew as they struggled to regain control. "What's happening?" Mira shouted, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Power failure. I'm trying to reroute the energy." Ryan exclaimed, his voice strained. The ship rocked violently, and Mira could feel the fear in the air. "We can't let it take us down. Ryan, focus on stabilizing our systems." "I'm working on it," Ryan shouted, sweat beading on his forehead as he fought to restore power. In the darkness, Mira's mind raced, envisioning the energy that had once surged around them. They had made contact, they had touched something ancient and powerful, but now it felt like they were being pulled into the depths of the unknown. "Captain, I'm getting readings from outside," Thorne shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. "There's a massive energy buildup. Something's coming through." Mira gripped the console, her heart pounding as she struggled to maintain focus. "Ryan, can you get us back online?" "I'm trying, but it's like the energy is disrupting our systems," Ryan replied, frustration mingling with urgency. As the crew fought to regain control, Mira sensed a shift in the atmosphere. Something was approaching, something that had been waiting for them. "Brace for impact," she commanded, steeling herself for what was to come. Just as the ship lurched forward, a blinding flash of light erupted outside, engulfing them in a radiant glow. Mira shielded her eyes, her heart racing as the energy surged around them. Then, silence fell. When Mira opened her eyes, the lab was flooded with light, and the displays flickered back to life. But they were no longer in the asteroid field. They were surrounded by a vast expanse of shimmering stars, and at the center loomed a colossal structure, pulsating with energy. "Captain, are you seeing this?" Ryan gasped, his voice filled with awe. Mira's breath caught in her throat as she stared at the ethereal sight before them. The structure resembled a massive gateway, swirling with colors that defied explanation. It was as if the cosmos had converged in one breathtaking moment. "What is it?" Thorn whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. "I don't know," Mira replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "But we need to find out." As they drifted closer, Mira felt a sense of destiny wash over her. This was the culmination of their journey, a moment that would define their place in the galaxy. They had been chosen to uncover the truth behind the energy, and they would not shy away from the challenges ahead. "Prepare for an approach," Mira commanded, her voice steady as she navigated the ship toward the gateway. "We're entering uncharted territory, and we need to be ready for anything." With determination guiding her, Mira piloted the Astral Dawn closer to the structure, her heart racing as they prepared to confront whatever lay beyond the shimmering threshold. The echoes of the past whispered in her ears, urging her forward. This was just the beginning, and she would not turn back. Chapter 5. The Threshold of Discovery. The Astral Dawn drifted closer to the colossal structure, its form a mesmerizing tapestry of light and energy that pulsed with an otherworldly rhythm. Mira felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. This gateway could hold answers to questions that had lingered for too long. The crew gathered at their stations, eyes glued to the displays that danced with shifting patterns and colors. "Captain, I'm reading an increase in energy levels as we approach," Ryan reported, his voice steady despite the tension. "It's as if the structure is reacting to our presence." Mira nodded, keeping her focus on the glowing portal before them. "Can we analyze the composition of this structure?" "Working on it now," Ryan replied, fingers flying over the controls. "I'm attempting to run a spectroscopic analysis. If there's any material we can identify, it could provide clues about its origin." Mira turned to Thorn, who was monitoring the ship's systems. "What's our status? Are we stable enough to get closer?" Thorn glanced at the readouts, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Shields are holding steady, but I'd advise caution. We don't know what kind of energy fluctuation we're dealing with here." "Agreed," Mira said, biting her lip. "Let's maintain a safe distance while we gather as much data as we can. We need to understand what we're dealing with before making any decisions." As Ryan continued his analysis, the atmosphere in the ship shifted. The crew, usually focused and serious, exchanged looks of awe and anticipation. The gateway radiated an allure that was hard to resist, a promise of knowledge that beckoned from beyond. "Captain," Ryan interrupted her thoughts, excitement in his voice. "I've got something. The energy signatures suggest a composition that contains elements not found in our sector. It's almost as if it's a fusion of different cosmic materials." "Can you pinpoint their origins?" Mira asked, leaning closer to the console. "Not entirely, but it appears that some of the elements are from deep space phenomena, possibly remnants of supernovae. Others resemble materials we've encountered in ancient ruins," Ryan replied, his brow furrowing in concentration. "It's like this structure is a convergence point for the universe's most potent energies." Mira's pulse quickened as she absorbed this information. "So, it's not just a gateway, it's a repository of cosmic energies." "Exactly," Ryan said, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. "This could be a key to understanding the dark ships and their origins. If we can access this energy—" "Let's not get ahead of ourselves," Mira cautioned, reminding herself that they were venturing into the unknown. "We need to be prepared for any potential consequences. Thorn, can we enhance our scanners to get a clearer view of what lies beyond the structure?" "On it, Captain," Thorn replied, tapping on his console. "Increasing the resolution now." The ship trembled slightly as the scanners adjusted, the displays morphing into a clearer representation of the gateway. Pulses of light danced around its edges, creating an ethereal halo that flickered like a distant star. Mira could almost feel the energy thrumming in the air, an invisible force that urged them closer. "Captain," Ryan said, his voice laced with urgency, "I'm detecting fluctuations in the structure's energy. It seems to be communicating." "Communicating? How?" Mira asked, her heart racing. "The energy pulses are rhythmically changing, almost like a signal," Ryan explained, adjusting the parameters of the analysis. "If we can sync our modulation to its frequency, we might be able to respond." "Let's give it a try," Mira urged, her determination unwavering. Prepare the modulation signal and set it to match the energy pattern. As Ryan worked to establish a connection, Mira felt a rush of anticipation. They were standing on the brink of discovery, and the possibilities were endless. If they could decipher the gateway's messages, they might unlock secrets that had eluded civilizations for millennia. "Signal ready, Captain," Ryan announced, his fingers poised over the controls. "On your mark." Mira took a deep breath, her heart racing as she looked at the shimmering structure before them. "Initiate the signal." As Ryan activated the modulation, a series of pulses echoed through the ship, reverberating off the walls. The gateway responded almost immediately, the energy patterns shifting and converging as if acknowledging their presence. Mira's breath caught in her throat as the ship vibrated in resonance with the structure. "It's working," Ryan exclaimed, excitement bubbling in his voice. "The energy is stabilizing. It's like we're forming a connection." Mira's heart swelled with hope. "Can we amplify our signal?" "Adjusting now," Ryan replied, fingers flying across the controls as the ship trembled with newfound energy. The displays flickered with vibrant colors, and the gateway pulsated in rhythm with their modulation, creating a symphony of light and sound. Mira felt a sense of unity, as if they were part of something larger than themselves. Suddenly, a surge of energy erupted from the gateway, a brilliant flash that filled the cockpit. Mira instinctively shielded her eyes, her heart pounding in her chest. The light enveloped them, and for a moment the ship was suspended in a cocoon of luminescence. "Captain, readings are spiking," Ryan shouted, urgency flooding his voice. "It's responding to our signal on an unprecedented level." "Divert all power to shields," Mira commanded, gripping the console as the ship trembled under the energy's intensity. "We need to protect ourselves." "Doing it now," Thorne shouted, his fingers flying over the controls as he worked to stabilize the systems. As the crew fought to maintain control, Mira's heart raced with anticipation. This was no ordinary energy. It was alive, responding to them in ways she could hardly comprehend. They were on the precipice of a revelation that could change the course of their journey forever. Then, as suddenly as it had started, the energy surged and receded, leaving behind a lingering glow that bathed the ship in light. The readings stabilized, and the crew exchanged glances filled with awe and disbelief. "What just happened?" Mira asked, breathless. I think we made contact," Ryan said, his voice shaky with excitement. "The gateway? It's welcoming us." Mira stared at the pulsing structure, her heart racing as she realized the magnitude of their discovery. "We need to prepare for an entry. This might be our only chance to understand what lies beyond." "Captain, are you sure?" Thorne asked, concern etched on his face. "We don't know what's waiting for us inside." "We'll never know if we don't take the risk," Mira replied, her determination solidifying. "We've come too far to turn back now. Set a course for the gateway." As Thorne and Ryan complied, Mira felt a rush of anticipation coursing through her veins. They were entering uncharted territory, a realm that had been untouched for eons. Whatever lay beyond this gateway could hold the answers they had been seeking. "Preparing for entry?" Thorne announced, his voice steady as he navigated the ship toward the threshold. The gateway loomed larger, shimmering with energy as they drew closer. Mira felt the ship tremble with anticipation, a mix of fear and excitement swelling within her. This was it, the moment they had been waiting for. "Captain, shields are at maximum," Ryan reported, his eyes focused on the displays. "We're ready to proceed." "Engage the thrusters," Mira commanded, her heart racing as they neared the shimmering entrance. "Let's see what awaits us." As the astral dawn crossed the threshold, a blinding light enveloped them, and Mira felt the ship lurch as they plunged into the unknown. The world outside dissolved into a kaleidoscope of colors, swirling around them like a cosmic dance. "Status report," Mira shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Power levels are stable, but I'm detecting fluctuations in the energy field." Ryan exclaimed, his fingers flying over the controls as he tried to make sense of the data. "It's like we're caught in a current." "Hold steady," Mira commanded, gripping the console as the ship rocked violently. "We can navigate through this." The astral dawn surged forward, propelled by the energy currents swirling around them. Mira felt a surge of exhilaration as they ventured deeper into the structure. It was a surreal experience, unlike anything she had ever encountered. "Captain, we're entering a vast chamber," Ryan shouted, awe in his voice. "The energy is pulsating all around us." Mira's breath caught in her throat as the ship broke through into the expansive chamber. The space was filled with swirling energy, colors shifting and merging in a mesmerizing display. At the center stood a massive construct, a towering spire made of crystalline material that radiated light. "What is that?" Thorn breathed, eyes wide with wonder. "I don't know," Mira replied, her heart racing. "But we need to analyze it. Set the ship down as close as possible." As Thorn maneuvered the ship closer, Mira felt a sense of destiny unfolding before her. They were standing at the brink of discovery, a moment that could change the course of their journey. "Landing in 3, 2, 1. Thorn announced, his voice steady. The astral dawn settled gently on the chamber floor, and Mira felt a rush of exhilaration as the engines powered down. The hum of the ship faded, replaced by the pulsating rhythm of the energy surrounding them. "Let's suit up and prepare for an EVA," Mira instructed, her heart racing with anticipation. "We need to investigate this spire." The crew moved with purpose, donning their suits and gathering their gear. As Mira adjusted her helmet, she could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. They were about to step into a realm of possibilities, a chance to unlock the mysteries of the universe. With a final glance at her crew, Mira activated the airlock, the hissing sound echoing in the chamber. The door slid open, revealing the shimmering expanse before them. "On my mark," she said, her voice steady. 3, 2, 1, go." They stepped out into the chamber, and Mira's breath caught in her throat. The energy swirled around them, enveloping them in a cocoon of light. It was both exhilarating and terrifying, a reminder of the power they were dealing with. As they approached the crystalline spire, Mira felt a strange pull, an urge to reach out and touch it. The air crackled with energy, and she could hear a faint hum resonating in her ears. "Be careful," Ryan cautioned, his voice muffled through the helmet. "We don't know what it's capable of." "I know," Mira replied, her heart racing, "but we have to understand it." With cautious steps, they approached the spire, the energy swirling around them like a living entity. Mira extended her hand, fingertips brushing against the smooth surface of the crystal. The moment she made contact, a surge of energy coursed through her, a flood of images and sensations overwhelming her senses. She saw visions of ancient civilizations, cosmic battles, and the birth of stars. It was a tapestry of existence, weaving together the threads of time and space. Mira gasped, pulling her hand back as the flood of information subsided. "It's alive," she whispered, awe filling her voice. "This spire, it holds the memories of the universe." "Are you okay?" Ryan asked, concern etched on his face. "I'm fine," Mira replied, her mind racing with the implications of what she had just experienced. This spire could be a repository of knowledge, a way to access the history of the cosmos, or a way to unlock its power, Thorn added, his voice grave. Mira nodded, realizing the weight of their discovery. They stood at the threshold of understanding, but with that knowledge came a responsibility that weighed heavily on her shoulders. "We need to document everything," Mira said, her determination solidifying. "This could change everything we know about the universe." As they began their work, documenting the spire and the energy surrounding them, Mira felt a sense of purpose guiding her. They were part of something greater, a journey that had only just begun. "Captain," Ryan called, interrupting her thoughts. "I'm getting readings of movement outside the chamber." Mira's heart sank as she turned to face him. "Movement? What do you mean?" "I can't pinpoint what it is, but the energy levels are fluctuating. It's like something is approaching," Ryan replied, his voice tense. "Thorn, secure the ship," Mira ordered, her instincts kicking in. "We need to be ready for anything." As Thorn moved to the airlock, Mira felt a surge of anxiety. They had ventured into the unknown, but now it seemed that they were not alone. Something was lurking beyond the chamber, and she had a sinking feeling that it might not be friendly. "Keep your guard up," Mira said, her voice low but steady. "We don't know what's coming." As they waited, the energy around them shifted, an unsettling current that sent chills down Mira's spine. She could sense a presence drawing closer, an invisible force that seemed to pulse with intent. Then, without warning, the chamber was filled with blinding light, and Mira shielded her eyes as the energy surged around them. She could hear the distant echo of thunder, a reminder that they were on the brink of something monumental. As the light faded, Mira opened her eyes to find a figure standing before them, surrounded by shimmering energy. It was a being unlike anything she had ever seen, radiant, ethereal, and otherworldly. "Who are you?" Mira asked, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. The being regarded her with eyes that seemed to hold the weight of the cosmos. "I am a guardian of the gateway, a keeper of knowledge." It spoke, its voice resonating through the chamber. "You have come seeking answers, and the time has come for you to learn." Mira's heart raced as the realization hit her. They had crossed into a realm of knowledge and power, and now they stood before a being that could unlock the mysteries of the universe. "Will you show us?" Mira asked, her voice filled with determination. "Will you guide us through the truths that lie beyond?" The guardian nodded, its form shimmering with energy. "But understand this, knowledge comes with a price. You must be willing to confront the truths of your existence and the choices that led you here." Mira felt a sense of gravity settle over her. They were at a crossroads, faced with a choice that could alter the course of their journey. But she knew that the pursuit of knowledge was worth any price. "I accept," Mira said, her voice steady. "We are ready to learn." As the guardian extended its hand, a wave of energy surged through the chamber, enveloping them in light. Mira felt the connection deepen, and in that moment, she understood that they were about to embark on a journey unlike any other, a journey that would reshape their understanding of the universe and their place within it. Chapter 6. The Weaving of Realities. As the guardian extended its luminous hand, the air around Mira crackled with energy. She felt an undeniable pull, an invitation to step into the unknown. The chamber glowed brighter, and the very fabric of reality seemed to ripple in response to the guardian's presence. Mira's crew, standing close behind her, shared glances filled with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "Do you feel that?" Rian whispered, his voice barely audible over the hum of the energy. "It's like the air is alive," Thorn replied, eyes wide as he took in the ethereal beauty surrounding them. The guardian's form shimmered, its features becoming more defined as it gestured toward the spire. "You have come seeking answers, but the truths you uncover will challenge your perceptions of reality. You must be prepared for the revelations that lie ahead." Mira nodded, her heart racing. "We're ready. We've come this far. There's no turning back now." With a fluid motion, the guardian beckoned them forward. As Mira stepped closer, she felt an overwhelming sense of peace wash over her. The energy enveloped her like a warm embrace, dissolving the fears and doubts that had haunted her since their journey began. "Close your eyes," the guardian instructed, its voice resonating within her mind. "Open your hearts to the knowledge that awaits." Mira complied, shutting her eyes as the energy intensified around them. A kaleidoscope of colors erupted behind her eyelids, swirling and merging into a tapestry of light. She felt herself being pulled into a different state of consciousness, a realm where time and space intertwined in ways she had never imagined. "Welcome to the weave," the guardian's voice echoed, now echoing from all directions. "Here, you will witness the interconnections of existence, the choices made, the paths taken, and the consequences that ripple across the cosmos." Mira opened her eyes to find herself standing in a vast expanse, surrounded by shimmering threads of light. Each thread represented a possibility, a choice that had shaped the universe. The air was thick with energy, and she could feel the weight of countless lives woven into this intricate tapestry. "Look closely," the guardian urged, its form now a soft glow hovering beside her. "What do you see?" Mira focused on the threads before her, each one pulsating with life. She reached out, her fingers brushing against a golden strand that shimmered brightly. Instantly, visions filled her mind. A peaceful planet thriving under a sun, lush landscapes, and people working together in harmony. "This thread represents a world that flourished," the guardian explained. "A choice made by its inhabitants to embrace unity over conflict." Mira watched as the scene shifted, the bright landscape fading into shadows. "What happened?" she asked, her heart heavy. "The choice to embrace division emerged," the guardian replied, sadness in its tone. "Fear and distrust led to conflict, and the world that once thrived fell into ruin." As the vision faded, Mira felt a pang of sorrow. The tapestry before her held the weight of countless stories, both uplifting and tragic. "What about this one?" she said, pointing to a vibrant blue thread that danced with energy. "That represents a world still teetering on the edge," the Guardian said. "Its fate hangs in the balance, contingent on the choices yet to be made." Mira could see the inhabitants of that world, struggling against forces that threatened to tear them apart. She sensed the urgency in their actions, a desperate need to unite before it was too late. "What can be done to help them?" she asked, feeling the burden of their plight. "Understanding is the first step," the Guardian replied. "You have the power to influence their choices, but you must tread carefully. The threads are delicate, and even the smallest action can create ripples that alter their course." Mira's heart raced at the responsibility weighing upon her. "What about our own world?" she asked, her voice tinged with anxiety. "What does this mean for us?" The Guardian gestured to a thread that shimmered with dark energy, a stark contrast to the vibrant ones around it. "This is your reality, a world facing dire challenges. The darkness threatens to consume it, but hope persists within the hearts of its people." Mira felt a chill run down her spine as she realized the implications of the Guardian's words. "Is there a way to change our fate?" "Knowledge is your greatest ally," the Guardian replied. "You must learn from the past to navigate the future. The choices made by your crew and the alliances you forge will determine the course of your reality." As Mira absorbed this information, the threads around her began to shift and intertwine, revealing new patterns and connections. Each strand represented a different possibility, a future waiting to unfold based on the choices they would make. "Can we see what lies ahead?" Mira asked, her curiosity piqued. The Guardian nodded, and the threads twisted and danced, forming a swirling vortex of light. "Look closely, but remember, the future is not set in stone. It is shaped by the choices made in the present." Mira peered into the vortex, and visions began to materialize. She saw her crew, united in their quest to uncover the secrets of the universe. They fought against the darkness that threatened to engulf their world, forging alliances with distant civilizations, and standing together against the forces of chaos. But then the images shifted, revealing cracks in their unity. Conflicts arose, trust eroded, and divisions formed among them. Mira watched helplessly as the bonds they had forged began to fracture, leading to disastrous consequences. "No," she cried out, fear gripping her heart. "This can't happen." "You have the power to change this outcome," the Guardian urged. "It begins with understanding one another, embracing your differences, rather than allowing them to divide you." Mira felt a surge of determination. "We will not let that future become reality," she vowed, her voice strong. "We'll work together, no matter the cost." As she spoke, the vortex pulsed with energy, the threads weaving together in a more harmonious pattern. The visions shifted, revealing a brighter future, where her crew stood united, facing the challenges that lay ahead. "Remember this moment," the Guardian said, its voice steady. "The strength of your bond will be tested, but together, you can weave a new reality, one filled with hope and possibility." Mira took a deep breath, the weight of her mission settling over her. "Thank you for this knowledge. We will do everything we can to ensure a brighter future." The Guardian's form shimmered, and the threads around them began to dissolve into starlight. "The time has come for you to return," it said. "But know this, the knowledge you have gained will guide you. Trust in one another, and do not lose sight of the light." As the chamber faded, Mira felt herself being pulled back into her own reality. The warmth of the Guardian's presence lingered, a comforting reminder of the truths she had learned. Suddenly, Mira found herself back in the chamber with her crew. The crystalline spire standing majestically before them. The energy still pulsed around them, but the atmosphere felt different, charged with a newfound purpose. "Captain," Ryan exclaimed, his eyes wide with excitement. "What just happened? You were gone for a moment." "We've learned so much," Mira replied, her voice filled with conviction. "We have the knowledge to change our fate, but it will require all of us to work together." "What did you see?" Thorne asked, a hint of apprehension in his tone. Mira took a moment to gather her thoughts, recalling the vivid visions she had experienced. "I saw our past, present, and potential futures. The choices we make moving forward will determine the path we take. We need to rally the crew," Ryan suggested, a spark of determination igniting in his eyes. "We can't let fear or doubt divide us." Mira nodded, appreciating the sense of unity that was beginning to form. "Let's gather everyone and share what we've learned. Together, we can forge a new reality." As they moved toward the ship's central hub, Mira felt a surge of hope. They had been given a chance to change their course, to influence the future they desired. It was a monumental task, but she believed in the strength of her crew. Once inside the ship, Mira gathered everyone in the common area. The crew exchanged glances, their faces filled with curiosity and concern. "Listen up, everyone," Mira called out, her voice steady. "We've just had a profound experience at the Spire. I want to share what we learned, as it's crucial for our journey ahead." The crew fell silent, their attention fixed on her. "We've seen the interconnectedness of our choices, how they shape our destinies," Mira continued, her heart racing with the weight of her words. "The future is not predetermined. It can be changed based on our actions and unity." Rian stepped forward, his voice passionate. "We must stand together as a team. The visions showed us how easily divisions can form, but we have the power to choose a different path." Thorn nodded, his expression resolute. "We need to embrace our differences and use them to strengthen our mission. We're stronger together." Mira looked around at her crew, their expressions a mix of determination and hope. "I believe we can forge a brighter future, but it will require all of us to work together. We must trust one another, even in the face of adversity." "Agreed," Ryan said, his eyes shining with conviction. "Let's make a pact to support each other no matter what challenges arise." One by one, the crew members stepped forward, their resolve solidifying. They formed a circle, each placing a hand on the shoulders of the person beside them, a physical manifestation of their commitment to unity. "We are the architects of our destiny," Mira declared, her heart swelling with pride. "Let's face whatever lies ahead together." With renewed purpose, the crew returned to their stations, each member fueled by the understanding that their choices would shape the course of their journey. As they prepared the ship for departure, Mira couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation brewing within her. They were about to embark on a new chapter, one filled with possibilities, and the knowledge they had gained would guide them through the darkness that lay ahead. "Set course for the nearby system," Mira instructed, her voice steady as she took her place at the helm. "We need to find allies, gather resources, and uncover the truth about the forces threatening our reality." Ryan began inputting the coordinates, his fingers flying across the console. "Course set, Captain. Ready for departure." Mira felt the ship hum to life beneath her, a powerful reminder of the journey ahead. "Engage engines." As the stars blurred outside the viewport, Mira couldn't help but reflect on the weight of their mission. They were venturing into the unknown, but she felt a renewed sense of hope. They would face challenges, but together they could weave a new tapestry of existence, one filled with unity, strength, and the promise of a brighter future. As the ship broke free from the gravitational pull of the planet, Mira glanced back at her crew, their faces filled with determination. They had faced the darkness of uncertainty and emerged stronger, united by a shared purpose. "Let's go change the universe," she said, her voice filled with conviction. And as they soared into the cosmos, Mira knew that the choices they made in the days to come would resonate throughout the stars, shaping not only their destinies, but the fates of countless worlds waiting to be influenced by their actions. Chapter 7. Echoes of the Past. The ship surged through the void, the stars becoming streaks of light against the backdrop of darkness. Mira sat at the helm, her fingers dancing over the controls as she navigated through the uncharted territories. The weight of their mission hung in the air, each crew member consumed by thoughts of what lay ahead. "Captain," Ryan's voice broke through her concentration. "We're entering the Ethon system. Scanners are picking up several planets, including one that appears to be habitable." "Display the readings," Mira replied, her pulse quickening with anticipation. The main screen lit up, revealing a vibrant blue planet surrounded by a cluster of rocky moons. "Ethon 4, Ryan announced. "Atmospheric conditions seem stable, and we've detected signs of life on the surface. Could it be the allies we're looking for?" Thorn mused, leaning closer to the screen. "It's possible," Mira said, a spark of hope igniting within her. Prepare for descent. Let's get a closer look. As the ship adjusted its trajectory, Mira felt a sense of urgency wash over her. They had spent too long wandering through the void, their hearts heavy with the weight of impending darkness. This could be the turning point they desperately needed. The ship's engines hummed steadily as they broke through the planet's atmosphere, and Mira marveled at the breathtaking view before her. A sprawling landscape of lush forests and shimmering oceans unfolded beneath them. The vibrant colors contrasted sharply with the cold void of space, reminding her of the beauty they were fighting to preserve. "Dropping altitude," Ryan announced, his focus unwavering as he monitored the readings. "We should be in the landing zone shortly." "Keep an eye on the sensors," Mira instructed. "We don't know what kind of welcome we'll receive." As they landed smoothly on the surface, Mira felt a thrill of excitement mingling with trepidation. They had come so far, and the fate of their mission hinged on this moment. "Suit up and prepare for an EVA," she instructed, her voice steady. "Let's see what Ethon 4 has to offer." The crew quickly donned their suits, the familiar weight settling around them like a second skin. Mira took a deep breath, steeling herself for whatever awaited them outside. As they exited the ship, the fresh air enveloped them, a stark contrast to the recycled atmosphere within the vessel. Mira inhaled deeply, the sense of earth and flora awakening her senses. "Stay alert," she reminded her crew as they moved cautiously toward the tree line. "We're in unknown territory." The forest loomed before them, a canopy of vibrant greens and browns. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting playful shadows on the ground. They ventured deeper, the sounds of nature surrounding them, a chorus of chirping birds, rustling leaves, and distant, rushing water. "What do you think we'll find here?" Ryan asked, scanning the area with a mix of curiosity and wariness. "Hope," Mira replied, her voice resolute. "I believe we're meant to find allies, people who can help us understand the darkness threatening our world." As they continued their journey, the trees began to thin, revealing a clearing that opened up to a breathtaking view of a shimmering lake. The surface glimmered like liquid crystal, reflecting the vibrant sky above. "Look," Thorne exclaimed, pointing toward the opposite shore. "There's something over there." Mira squinted, trying to discern the shape he was indicating. In the distance, structures rose above the treetops, their forms reminiscent of ancient temples, entwined with nature. "Let's head that way," Mira decided, a sense of purpose driving her forward. They navigated through the underbrush, the sound of their footsteps mingling with the gentle lapping of the lake's water against the shore. As they approached the structures, the air felt charged with energy, a palpable sense of history woven into the fabric of the place. "Do you feel that?" Ryan asked, his voice low as they stepped closer to the ruins. "It's as if the ground is humming," Thorne added, his eyes wide with wonder. Mira reached out, placing her hand on a weathered stone. The texture was rough beneath her fingers, and she could feel the remnants of energy pulsating through it. "These structures are ancient," she said, her heart racing with excitement. "This could be the remnants of a civilization that once thrived here." As they explored the ruins, Mira felt a sense of connection to the place. It was as if the echoes of the past resonated within her, whispers of stories waiting to be uncovered. "Look over here," Ryan called, his voice echoing through the hollow chamber. They hurried toward him, discovering a mural etched into the stone wall. Intricate designs depicted scenes of cosmic battles, figures standing together in solidarity against dark forces. "What does it mean?" Thorne asked, his brow furrowed in concentration. "I think it tells a story of unity," Mira replied, studying the images. "These people fought against the darkness, just like we are." Ryan traced a finger over the mural, his eyes alight with realization. Maybe they were the guardians of knowledge, similar to the being we encountered at the spire. Mira nodded, understanding the weight of their discovery. "This could be a sign that we're on the right path. We need to find out more about this civilization." Suddenly, a rustling sound caught their attention, and they turned to see figures emerging from the tree line. Mira's heart raced as she instinctively stepped back, her crew forming a protective circle around her. The newcomers approached cautiously, their movements graceful and fluid. They were humanoid in appearance but exuded an otherworldly aura, their skin shimmering with iridescence reflecting the colors of their surroundings. "State your purpose," one of the figures spoke, its voice melodic and resonant. Mira took a deep breath, stepping forward. "We come in peace. We seek allies in our battle against the darkness that threatens our worlds." The figure regarded her with piercing eyes, and Mira felt as if they were peering into her very soul. "You carry the weight of your reality upon your shoulders," it said, its tone shifting to one of empathy. "But are you prepared to confront the truths that lie within?" "What do you mean?" Ryan asked, his brow furrowed. "The battle you face is not merely external," the figure explained. "It is a reflection of the struggles within yourselves. To unite against the darkness, you must first confront the shadows that dwell in your hearts." Mira felt a chill run down her spine, the weight of the figure's words settling heavily upon her. "We're willing to do whatever it takes," she replied, her voice steady despite the unease gnawing at her. "Very well," the figure said, a glimmer of understanding in its eyes. "But know this, the journey will not be easy. You must embrace the light and the darkness within to emerge stronger." With a wave of its hand, the figure gestured for them to follow. Mira exchanged glances with her crew, a mixture of uncertainty and determination reflected in their eyes. They ventured deeper into the ruins, the air thick with the scent of earth and the distant sound of flowing water. The figures led them to a larger chamber adorned with more murals, each one depicting the cycles of existence: birth, growth, decay, and rebirth. "This is a sacred place," the leading figure explained, its voice echoing through the chamber. "Here the ancients gathered to share their knowledge and confront their truths." Mira felt a sense of reverence wash over her as they stepped into the center of the chamber. The walls seemed to pulse with energy, and she could feel the weight of history surrounding them. "Prepare yourselves," the figure instructed. "You will face your shadows, the parts of yourselves that you fear to confront." "What does that mean?" Thorn asked, his voice laced with apprehension. "It means you must look within," the figure replied. "Only by facing your truths can you forge the unity necessary to combat the darkness." Mira's heart raced at the prospect. She had faced many challenges, but the idea of confronting her own fears and doubts was daunting. Yet deep down, she understood the importance of this journey. "Are we all going to do this together?" Ryan asked, glancing at Mira and Thorn. "Yes," the figure affirmed. "Only together can you face what lies within." Mira nodded, a sense of resolve flooding her. "We can do this. We've come too far to back down now." As the figures began to chant in a melodic language, the energy in the chamber shifted, becoming charged with a palpable force. The air thickened, wrapping around them like a shroud. "Close your eyes," the lead figure instructed. "Open your hearts to the truth." Mira squeezed her eyes shut, taking a deep breath as the chanting intensified. She felt a surge of energy course through her, pulling her into a state of heightened awareness. Images began to flash behind her eyelids, memories long buried, choices that had shaped her journey, and the pain of loss she had tried to forget. She saw her family, the ones she had lost in the turmoil of war, their faces etched with sorrow. "No," she whispered, a wave of emotion crashing over her. "I can't face this." "Embrace it," a voice urged, echoing through her mind. "Only by acknowledging your pain can you begin to heal." Mira's heart raced as she allowed the memories to surface, feeling the weight of regret and sorrow wash over her. But amidst the pain, she felt a flicker of hope, the determination to honor their memory by fighting for a better future. As she focused on the light that emerged from the darkness, she felt a sense of clarity. The burdens she had carried began to lift, replaced by a newfound strength. When she opened her eyes, she found herself surrounded by her crew, their faces reflecting their own struggles. Ryan stood with a determined gaze, while Thorn fought against the shadows of doubt that clung to him. "How do you feel?" Ryan asked, his voice steady. "Stronger," Mira replied, her heart swelling with a sense of unity. "I see now that we each carry our own burdens, but together we can overcome anything." The figures smiled, their expressions filled with understanding. "You have taken the first step toward unity," the lead figure said. "Now you must forge your path forward." "What comes next?" Thorn asked, his curiosity piqued. "You must gather the knowledge of our ancestors," the figure instructed. Their wisdom holds the keys to understanding the darkness that seeks to consume your reality. Mira felt a rush of excitement. This was the opportunity they had been seeking, the chance to uncover the truths that would guide them in their battle. "Lead the way," she urged, her determination ignited. The figures gestured toward an archway leading deeper into the ruins. "Follow us," the lead figure said. "The path ahead will unveil the knowledge you seek." As they entered the next chamber, the air crackled with anticipation. Murals lined the walls, each depicting scenes of cosmic forces clashing in a dance of light and shadow. Mira felt a sense of connection to the stories told within these walls, as if they were woven into the fabric of her own existence. "Study the murals closely," the figure instructed. "Each tells a story, a lesson that may aid you in your journey." Mira stepped forward, captivated by the intricate designs. She studied the scenes, deciphering the meanings behind each image. There were tales of sacrifice and resilience, of civilizations rising and falling in the face of darkness. "Look," Ryan pointed to a mural depicting a group of warriors standing together against a colossal shadow. They fought with courage, despite the odds stacked against them. "And here," Thorne added, gesturing to another mural showing a phoenix rising from the ashes. "It symbolizes rebirth, the idea that from destruction comes new beginnings." Mira's heart raced as she absorbed the stories, each one resonating with her own journey. "We're not alone in this fight," she murmured, her voice filled with conviction. "Others have faced the darkness before us, and they triumphed." The figures observed them with a knowing gaze, their expressions filled with approval. "You are beginning to understand," the lead figure said. "Your strength lies in your unity, in your willingness to confront the darkness together." "Do you have any knowledge of the threat we face?" Mira asked, her urgency palpable. "We need to understand what we're up against." The lead figure nodded, stepping forward. "The darkness that seeks to engulf your reality is a manifestation of fear and despair. It thrives on division, feeding off the shadows within each of you." "We've seen its effects," Ryan admitted, his expression darkening. "It has torn apart our worlds and created chaos. To combat this darkness, you must learn to embrace the light within," the figure advised. "Only then can you stand united against the forces that threaten your existence." Mira felt a surge of determination, her resolve strengthening with each word. "We're ready to learn. We'll do whatever it takes to protect our worlds." The lead figure gestured for them to follow as they moved deeper into the chamber. "Come, the knowledge you seek awaits." They walked through a series of interconnected halls adorned with more murals, each one depicting cosmic events that shaped the universe. Mira felt as though she were stepping into a living tapestry of history, woven together by the experiences of countless civilizations. In one chamber, they discovered ancient tablets etched with symbols and glyphs. The figures motioned for them to gather around, their expressions filled with reverence. "These tablets hold the secrets of our ancestors," the lead figure explained. "They contain the wisdom necessary to confront the darkness." Mira leaned closer, her heart pounding with anticipation. "Can we decipher them?" "With time and focus, you will learn to read the language of our people," the figure said. "But remember, the true power lies not in the knowledge itself, but in your ability to wield it together." Ryan reached out, brushing his fingers over the engravings. "We'll work as a team," he promised. "We won't let anything tear us apart." As they began to study the tablets, Mira felt a sense of purpose igniting within her. This was their chance to unravel the mysteries of the universe and forge a path toward a brighter future. Hours passed as they pored over the ancient texts, deciphering the symbols and absorbing the wisdom contained within. With each revelation, their understanding deepened, and they began to connect the dots between the past and their present struggle. "This one talks about the balance between light and darkness," Thorne noted, his brow furrowed in concentration. "It emphasizes the importance of unity in overcoming adversity." Mira felt a surge of hope at the thought. "We can do this," she said, her voice steady. "If we harness the power of this knowledge and stand together, we can confront whatever darkness lies ahead." As they continued their studies, the figures observed them with a sense of pride. Mira could see the trust and respect growing between them, a bond forged in the crucible of shared purpose. "Now that you have begun to uncover our knowledge, the lead figure said. "It is time to prepare for the next phase of your journey. You must face the trials that will test your resolve and strengthen your unity." "What kind of trials?" Ryan asked, his curiosity piqued. "The trials of the heart," the figure replied. "You will be challenged to confront your deepest fears and insecurities. Only by facing these trials can you emerge as a cohesive force, ready to combat the darkness." Mira's heart raced at the thought of the trials ahead. "We're ready to face whatever comes our way," she declared, her determination unwavering. The figures nodded in approval, a flicker of anticipation in their eyes. "Then prepare yourselves, the trials await." As they exited the chamber, the air buzzed with a palpable energy. Mira felt a mix of excitement and trepidation, knowing that the challenges ahead would test their limits. But they were no longer alone in their fight. They had each other and the wisdom of the ancients guiding them. They ventured back to the clearing, where the sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the landscape. The beauty of Aethon 4 surrounded them, a reminder of the hope that existed beyond the darkness. "Gather your strength," the lead figure instructed. "When you are ready, the trials will reveal themselves." Mira exchanged glances with her crew, their expressions a mix of determination and camaraderie. Together, they had faced the shadows of their pasts, and now they were ready to embrace the future. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the ground, Mira felt a sense of anticipation bubbling within her. They were on the cusp of something monumental, a turning point in their journey. "Let's prepare for the trials ahead," she urged, her voice filled with conviction. "We've come too far to falter now." And as they stood together, united in purpose, Mira knew that whatever challenges awaited them, they would face them as one, a force to be reckoned with, ready to confront the darkness and shape the destiny of their universe. Chapter 8. The Trials of the Heart. The twilight deepened into a star-studded sky as Mira and her crew prepared for the trials that awaited them. The ethereal glow of Aethon 4's 2 moons cast a silvery light over the clearing, illuminating their determined faces. The air was thick with anticipation, each crew member feeling the weight of their individual fears and insecurities pressing upon them. "Are you ready?" Mira asked, her voice steady as she looked at her friends. They stood together, a united front against the darkness they had faced and the challenges that lay ahead. "Ready as we'll ever be," Ryan replied, cracking a small smile, though his eyes betrayed the tension he felt. "Let's get this over with." Thorn nodded in agreement, his expression serious. "Whatever it takes to stop the darkness." As they stood in the clearing, the lead figure approached them, its presence commanding yet serene. "The trials are not merely tests of strength or skill," it began, its voice resonating in the stillness. "They will challenge you to confront your deepest fears and insecurities, the shadows that lurk within your hearts." Mira swallowed hard, the weight of the figure's words settling upon her. She had spent years burying her pain, and the thought of confronting it was daunting. "What if we fail?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Failure is a part of growth," the figure replied, its eyes shimmering with understanding. "Embrace it, for only by facing your truths can you emerge stronger. Trust in one another and allow your bonds to guide you through the trials." The crew shared glances, a silent understanding passing between them. They had faced countless challenges together, and they would face this one as well. "Let's do this," Mira said, her heart pounding with determination. With that, the figure gestured toward the depths of the forest. "Follow me," it instructed, leading them into the shadows. As they walked, the forest grew denser, the trees towering above them like sentinels. The air felt charged with energy, an electric hum that made the hair on Mira's arms stand on end. She could feel the weight of her past creeping in, the memories she had tried to forget clawing at the edges of her consciousness. After several moments, they reached a clearing bathed in moonlight. In the center stood 3 stone pillars, each engraved with intricate symbols that pulsed with an otherworldly light. "This is where the trials will unfold," the figure explained. "Each of you will face your own trial, but you will not face it alone. Your unity will be your strength." Mira stepped forward, heart racing. "What happens during the trial?" "The pillars will resonate with the energy of your fears," the figure replied. "When you touch a pillar, It will reveal the truth you must confront. Remember, the path to growth is not linear. It is filled with twists and turns. Trust in your bonds and face what you must. With a deep breath, Mira stepped closer to the first pillar. The symbols glowed brighter as she approached, and she could feel the energy swirling around her, beckoning her to confront the shadows of her past. "I'll go first," she declared, determination lacing her voice. As she placed her hand on the cool stone, a surge of energy coursed through her, and the world around her shifted. The clearing faded, replaced by a vision of her childhood home, a place she had not thought of in years. The air was thick with memories, both sweet and painful. Mira found herself standing in the living room, the warmth of the sun streaming through the windows. Her younger self was playing on the floor, surrounded by toys, laughter echoing in the air. But the laughter was quickly overshadowed by the sound of raised voices from the other room. "Why can't you just listen?" Her mother's voice broke through the facade. "You're putting us all at risk." "Risk? You think I'm going to let you dictate my choices?" Her father's voice replied, filled with anger and frustration. Mira's heart sank as she remembered the countless arguments that had filled their home, the tension that had hung in the air like a thick fog. She had tried to ignore it, to drown it out with laughter and play, but the memories came rushing back, each one cutting deeper than the last. "Mom, Dad," she whispered, feeling the familiar ache of sorrow. The arguments had torn her family apart, leaving her feeling helpless and lost. As the scene shifted, she saw her mother packing a suitcase, tears streaming down her face. "I can't stay in this environment anymore," her mother sobbed. "I have to protect you." Mira felt the pain of those words wash over her, the weight of guilt pressing down on her chest. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen," she whispered, tears brimming in her eyes. "I just wanted to be happy." But her mother's voice echoed in her mind, filled with pain and regret. "You can't escape your reality, Mira. You have to face the truth." Suddenly, the scene shifted again, and Mira found herself standing outside her childhood home, watching it burn. Flames licked at the walls, consuming everything she had once known. The fire crackled, and she could hear the echoes of her parents' arguments intertwining with the sounds of destruction. "No!" she cried, reaching out as if she could stop the flames. "I couldn't save you. I couldn't save anything." But the fire raged on, consuming the past and leaving nothing but ashes in its wake. In that moment, she understood the truth she had long tried to suppress. The guilt of her inability to protect her family weighed heavily upon her heart. "Mira," a voice broke through the chaos, pulling her back to the present. She turned to see Ryan standing beside her, concern etched across his face. "You're not alone. We're here for you." Mira blinked, the vision fading as the clearing returned around her. She gasped for breath, her heart racing as she stepped back from the pillar. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she faced her friends. I couldn't save them," she stammered, the weight of her past crashing down upon her. "It's my fault they're gone." "No, it's not," Ryan said firmly, stepping closer. "You were just a child. You couldn't control what happened." "But I could have done something," Mira protested, her voice trembling. "I should have tried harder." "Stop," Thorne interjected, his tone resolute. "You can't blame yourself for something you had no control over. You did the best you could, and now you're here fighting for a better future. That's what matters." Mira took a deep breath, the warmth of her friend's words enveloping her like a shield. "You're right," she admitted, wiping her tears away. "I can't let the past define me. I have to move forward." "Exactly," Ryan encouraged, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Now it's my turn." As Ryan stepped up toward the second pillar, Mira watched him, her heart swelling with pride. He was facing his fears head-on, just as she had done. The symbols on the pillar began to glow, and Ryan placed his hand against the stone. The world shifted around him, and he found himself in a dimly lit alleyway, the stench of smoke and desperation hanging in the air. He was surrounded by shadows, figures lurking just out of sight, whispering threats and taunts that sent chills down his spine. "Ryan," one of the voices called, its tone mocking. "You think you can save anyone? Look at you. You're just a coward hiding in the dark." "No," Ryan shouted, fists clenched. "I'm not afraid." The shadows laughed, their voices echoing in the alley. "You're nothing but a failure. You let them down, just like you always do." Suddenly, the scene shifted, and Ryan found himself standing in front of a burning building. He could hear the screams of people trapped inside, the sound of chaos filling the air. "Help! Someone help us!" A woman's voice cried out, panic and desperation lacing her words. Ryan's heart raced as he rushed toward the flames, but the fire raged fiercely, blocking his path. "No, I can't let them die," he shouted, desperation flooding his senses. But the shadows surrounded him, their laughter growing louder. "You can't save anyone," they taunted. "You're too weak." "Stop," Ryan cried, struggling against the darkness. "I won't let you take control." In that moment, he realized he had to confront the truth of his past. He had always felt inadequate, haunted by the fear of failure and the weight of responsibility. But he couldn't allow that fear to define him any longer. "I'm not a coward," he declared, his voice strong and resolute. "I won't let you win." With newfound strength, Ryan pushed through the darkness, breaking free from the shadows that had held him captive. The scene shifted once more, and he found himself back in the clearing, his friends surrounding him. "Ryan!" Mira exclaimed, relief flooding her voice. "You did it." He took a deep breath, the adrenaline still coursing through him. "I faced my fears. I'm not defined by my past mistakes." Thorn stepped forward, pride shining in his eyes. "You showed incredible strength, Ryan. We're proud of you." "Thanks, guys," Ryan replied, his heart swelling with gratitude. "Now it's your turn, Thorn." Thorn nodded, stepping up to the third pillar. As he placed his hand on the stone, the world around him transformed into a desolate battlefield, smoke and debris filling the air. The sounds of war echoed around him, the cries of the wounded ringing in his ears. He stood at the center of chaos, watching as soldiers fought valiantly against overwhelming odds. But as he looked closer, he recognized the faces of his fallen comrades, their expressions twisted in pain and sorrow. "Thorn," a familiar voice called, cutting through the noise. "Help us, we're counting on you." "No," Thorn shouted, anguish flooding his heart. "I can't lose anyone else." The scene shifted again, and he found himself standing over the body of a friend, their lifeless eyes staring into the void. "I couldn't save you," Thorn whispered, tears streaming down his face. "I'm so sorry." But the shadows began to close in around him, their whispers taunting him. "You're weak. You couldn't save them. You'll never be strong enough." "No," Thorn yelled, clenching his fists in defiance. "I won't let you take control of me." In that moment, he understood the truth he had buried deep within his heart, the guilt of his inability to protect those he loved. But he realized that he couldn't allow that guilt to consume him. He had to honor their memory by fighting for a better future. "I will not be defined by my past," he declared, his voice ringing out with conviction. "I will fight for them." As he embraced the truth of his emotions, the shadows began to dissipate, their hold over him weakening. The battlefield faded, and he found himself back in the clearing, his friends surrounding him. "You did it, Thorn," Mira exclaimed, her eyes shining with pride. Thorn took a deep breath, relief washing over him. "I faced my fears. I won't let them control me anymore." "Together, we're unstoppable," Ryan added, clapping Thorn on the back. As they stood together, a sense of unity enveloped them, their bonds stronger than ever. They had faced their trials and emerged victorious, ready to confront whatever darkness lay ahead. The lead figure appeared, a proud smile gracing its ethereal features. "You have all proven your strength and resilience," it said, its voice filled with warmth. "You faced your truths and emerged united. This is the foundation upon which you will build your future." Mira felt a surge of hope at the figure's words. "What comes next?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. "It is time to harness the knowledge you have gained and prepare for the battle that lies ahead." The figure replied, "You must use the lessons learned from your trials to unite others and confront the darkness together." Mira nodded, determination igniting within her. "We'll gather our allies and prepare for the fight. We won't back down." As the figure nodded in approval, the air around them shimmered with energy, and Mira felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had faced their fears, and now they would face the future together. As they prepared to leave the clearing, Mira glanced back at the pillars, the symbols glowing softly in the moonlight. "Thank you for guiding us," she whispered, her heart filled with gratitude. The figure smiled, its presence growing faint. "Remember, the light within you is stronger than any darkness. Trust in one another, and you will find the strength to overcome." With that, the figure vanished, leaving the crew standing in the clearing, the weight of their trials behind them. They were ready to embrace the challenges ahead, united in their purpose and armed with the knowledge they had gained. As they stepped back into the forest, the stars twinkled above, a reminder of the vast universe they were fighting to protect. Together, they would face whatever darkness awaited them, ready to forge a new path into the unknown. Chapter 9. The Gathering Storm. The ship hummed with the energy of anticipation as Mira and her crew made their way back to the Aegis, the sleek starship that had been their home and their shield against the darkness. As they boarded, Mira felt a surge of determination. They had faced their fears, confronted their pasts, and emerged stronger than ever. Now it was time to rally their allies and prepare for the impending battle against the Nyx. "Rian, can you access the ship's communication systems?" Mira asked, her eyes scanning the control panel as they settled into their respective seats. "Already on it," Ryan replied, fingers flying over the console. The holographic interface flickered to life, displaying a vast array of star systems. "We need to reach out to the colonies. If we're going to have a chance against the Nyx, we need every ally we can get." "Let's start with Haven 7, Mira suggested. "They have a strong defense force, and their leadership is sympathetic to our cause." "Got it. Sending out a distress signal now," Ryan confirmed, his expression focused. The air crackled with tension as the ship's systems engaged, the low hum of the engines resonating through the cockpit. As the Aegis powered up, Mira glanced at Thorn, who was seated across from her, a determined look etched on his face. "What's our plan once we reach Haven 7? He asked. "We'll need to convince them of the threat posed by the Nyx," Mira said, her voice steady. "We have to make them understand that the darkness is coming for all of us. We can't face this alone." Thorn nodded, his eyes bright with resolve. "Then we'll make them see the truth. They need to know what's at stake." "Communication established," Ryan announced, a holographic projection of Haven 7 appearing above the control panel. The image showed a bustling colony, the spires of their defense towers piercing the sky. "They're receiving our signal. We should hear back shortly." Mira took a deep breath, the gravity of their mission settling over her. "We need to be prepared for any response," she said. "Some may still doubt the Nyx's threat. We can't afford to lose anyone who might stand with us." As they waited for a response, Mira's mind raced with possibilities. They had encountered skepticism before, and the last thing they needed was more resistance when the stakes were so high. The future of the galaxy depended on their ability to unite against the encroaching darkness. Moments later, the screen flickered, and an image of Commander Alara Thorn appeared. Her striking features were framed by the light of the star systems behind her. "Mira, it's good to see you," she said, her tone both warm and cautious. "We received your signal. What's going on?" Mira wasted no time diving straight into the urgency of their situation. "Commander Thorn, the Nyx are a threat to everyone. They're not just attacking isolated systems. They're planning a full-scale assault on the colonies. We need your help to stop them." Alara's brow furrowed as she processed the information. "We've heard rumors of their movements, but nothing concrete. Are you certain of this?" "We've seen it firsthand," Mira replied, her voice unwavering. "We've faced their forces and have gathered evidence of their strategy. If we don't act quickly, it won't just be your colony at risk. It will be every colony in this sector." Alara's gaze softened, a flicker of concern crossing her features. "What do you propose?" "We need to unite our forces," Mira urged. "Haven 7 has the resources and manpower we need. If you rally your forces, we can launch a preemptive strike to push back against the Nyx and warn the other colonies." "Your conviction is admirable, Mira," Alara replied, her voice steady. "But what you're asking is no small feat. Mobilizing our forces will take time, and there are those who are hesitant to believe in a threat that hasn't fully materialized." "I understand," Mira said, her heart racing, "but we don't have the luxury of time. We must act before it's too late." The room fell silent as Alara considered Mira's words. "I will consult with my council," she finally said, her expression resolute. "We'll convene a meeting to discuss your proposal. If we can come to a consensus, I will send out the call to arms." "Thank you, Commander," Mira said, relief washing over her. I know this is a difficult decision, but it's one that could save lives. Alara nodded, her eyes locked on Mira's. Stay vigilant, and I'll keep you informed. We'll do everything we can to support you. With that, the communication ended, and the screen went dark. Mira leaned back in her seat, the weight of their mission pressing down on her. Now we wait, she murmured. We should prepare for the worst, Ryan said, glancing at the sensors. If they're hesitant to join us, we might have to show them the consequences of inaction. Mira nodded, determination igniting within her. If they refuse to fight with us, we'll have to ensure that they understand the threat. We can't let fear dictate our choices. As the crew settled into a tense silence, Mira felt a mixture of anticipation and dread. They were on the brink of something monumental, and every decision they made could change the course of history. Hours passed, and the Aegis drifted silently through the cosmos, the vast expanse of stars a constant reminder of the stakes at hand. Just as Mira was about to suggest a training session to pass the time, Ryan's voice cut through the stillness. Commander Thorne is contacting us again, he announced, his expression serious. Looks like they reached a decision. The screen flickered back to life, and Alara's face appeared once more, a mix of determination and uncertainty in her gaze. Mira, we've had our council meeting, she said, her voice firm. The council has voted to support your cause. We will mobilize our forces to assist you. Mira's heart raced with relief. Thank you, Commander. Together, we'll make a stand against the Nyx. Alara continued. However, there is a condition. We need to ensure the safety of Haven 7 before we commit fully. If we are to fight alongside you, we need to know that our home is secure. I understand, Mira replied, her mind racing. What do you need from us? There's been an increase in Nyx activity near our outer perimeter, Alara explained. If you could send a team to investigate and eliminate any threats, it would provide us with the assurance we need to fully commit our forces. Consider it done, Mira replied, determination surging within her. We'll send a reconnaissance team to assess the situation and neutralize any threats. Alara nodded, her expression softening. We appreciate your willingness to help, Mira. I'll begin mobilizing our forces in the meantime. Keep us updated on your findings. With that, the transmission ended, leaving the crew in a buzz of energy. We have our mission, Mira said, her heart pounding. We need to gather a team for reconnaissance and head to Haven 7's perimeter. I'll prepare the ship, Ryan said, already moving to the control panel. Thorne, can you coordinate the teams? We'll need to be efficient if we're going to eliminate any threats quickly. On it, Thorne replied, his voice steady as he began contacting the crew members they would need. As Mira watched her friends work, a sense of purpose enveloped her. They were no longer just a crew. They were a united force against the darkness, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Within moments, the Aegis was ready for departure, the engines humming with power. All systems go, Ryan announced as they entered the cockpit. Set course for Haven 7's outer perimeter. Engaging thrusters, Mira confirmed, her heart racing as the ship broke free from the atmosphere of Ethon 4. Stars streaked past them as they entered the void of space, each one a distant reminder of what was at stake. As they traveled, Mira gathered her thoughts, preparing for the mission ahead. We need to be cautious, she said, her voice firm. The Nyx are cunning and will likely try to ambush us. Stay alert and communicate any changes in the situation. Understood, Ryan replied, his fingers dancing over the controls. We'll keep each other informed, and if we encounter any Nyx forces, we'll engage with precision. As they approached the outer perimeter of Haven 7, the sensors began to beep, alerting them to incoming signals. We're getting readings of unusual activity, Ryan said, narrowing his eyes at the screen. Looks like the Nyx are already here. Prepare for combat, Mira ordered, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Thorne, get the weapon systems online. Ryan, lock onto their coordinates. Locking in now, Ryan confirmed, his focus unwavering. As the ship closed in, Mira could see the shadows of enemy ships darting through the void, their dark hulls camouflaged against the starry backdrop. The Nyx had set a trap, and they were walking right into it. Brace for impact. Thorne shouted as enemy fire erupted from the darkness, bright bursts illuminating the void around them. Mira gripped the controls tightly, steering the Aegis into evasive maneuvers. Return fire, target their engines, and disable their escape routes. The ship shuddered as it rocked under the force of enemy blasts, but Mira remained steady, her instincts guiding her. Ryan fired back with precision, the ship's weapons lighting up the void as they retaliated against the Nyx forces. 2 enemy ships down, Ryan called out, excitement lacing his voice. But there are more incoming. Stay sharp, Mira replied, her eyes scanning the displays. We can't let them overwhelm us. We need to create a safe zone for our ground team to operate. Reinforcements are on the way, Thorn added, his voice steady, but we need to buy them some time. As the battle raged on, Mira felt the weight of their mission pressing down on her. The lives of everyone on Haven 7 depended on their success, and she refused to let fear dictate their actions. Let's split our fire, she commanded. Ryan, you focus on the ships to the left. Thorn, you take the right flank. I'll hold the center. Got it, Thorn replied, his hands deftly maneuvering the controls. Ryan nodded, his eyes glued to the targeting systems. On your mark, Mira. Now, she shouted, and the ship erupted into a flurry of movement. They split their fire, targeting the Nyx ships with precision as they darted through the void. With each successful shot, Mira felt a surge of confidence, their coordination allowing them to dismantle the enemy forces piece by piece. But as the battle continued, the Nyx began to adapt, launching a counteroffensive that sent shockwaves through the ship. Reinforcements are arriving. Thorn shouted as a squadron of ships joined the fray, joining the fight against the Nyx. Mira felt a rush of hope as their allies joined the battle, but they couldn't let their guard down. The Nyx were relentless, and the fight was far from over. Keep pushing, Mira urged, adrenaline coursing through her veins. We're almost through. The Aegis shook as enemy fire collided with their shields, but they held strong, the crew working in perfect unison to fend off the relentless onslaught. Enemy ships are retreating, Ryan shouted, his voice filled with excitement. We've got them on the run. Stay vigilant, Mira cautioned, her instincts alert. They might try to regroup. As the last of the Nyx ships vanished into the darkness, Mira felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had survived, but the threat was still looming, and they needed to regroup. Let's assess the damage and prepare for our ground team, Mira said, her voice steady. We still have work to do. With the battle won, the crew of the Aegis began their preparations, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them on the surface of Haven 7. They had survived the storm, but the true test was still ahead. As the ship descended toward the surface, Mira's heart raced with anticipation. They were one step closer to uniting the colonies against the Nyx, and together they would forge a path toward a brighter future. Chapter 10. The Dawn of Unity. The Aegis cut through the atmosphere of Haven 7, its sleek silhouette casting a shadow over the bustling colony below. Mira stood at the cockpit, her heart pounding with anticipation as the landscape unfolded beneath them. Towering structures of metal and glass sparkled in the sun, their inhabitants unaware of the impending darkness that loomed just beyond the stars. Touchdown in 3, 2, 1, Ryan announced, his voice steady. The ship landed with a soft thud, the engines winding down as the crew prepared to disembark. Mira felt a rush of determination flood her veins. This was their moment to rally the colonies, to forge alliances against the Nyx and build a united front. Everyone ready? She asked, her gaze sweeping over her crew. Thorn nodded, a fierce determination in his eyes. Ryan checked his equipment, ensuring they were prepared for anything. As ready as we'll ever be? Thorn replied, his voice steady. Let's show them what we can do. Mira opened the hatch, the cool air rushing in as they stepped onto the tarmac. A crowd had gathered, their faces a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Commander Alara stood at the forefront, flanked by her council members, their expressions solemn. Mira, Alara greeted, her voice filled with resolve. I've assembled the council to discuss our strategy moving forward. We need to address the threat of the Nyx immediately. Mira nodded, her heart racing. Thank you, Commander. We've already faced them and we know their tactics. We can't afford to waste time. Alara motioned for the crowd to disperse, leading Mira and her crew into the nearby command center. The room was filled with holographic displays and maps, the air buzzing with energy as officers coordinated defense strategies. Sit tight, we'll be starting shortly, Alara said as they entered the room. She approached a central console and activated a holographic map of the region, highlighting the areas of Nyx activity. We've identified several key locations where the Nyx are massing their forces, Alara explained, her finger tracing a line across the map. They've been attacking supply routes and raiding our outer settlements, creating chaos among the colonies. Mira felt her stomach tighten at the images of destruction. We need to cut off their supply lines and hit them where it hurts. If we can disrupt their operations, we can weaken their resolve. That's a bold plan, one of the council members interjected. But do we have the manpower to take on such a risk? We do, Ryan spoke up, his eyes bright with determination. We have the Aegis and the experience to execute a well-coordinated strike. The longer we wait, the more powerful they become. Alara nodded in agreement. We can gather support from nearby colonies and form a coalition. If we strike swiftly, we may catch them off guard. Mira glanced at the map, her mind racing with possibilities. We need to mobilize our forces quickly. Let's split our teams and attack multiple locations simultaneously. If we can create chaos in their ranks, we'll have a chance to dismantle their operations. Agreed, Alara replied, her voice steady. I'll send out the call to arms immediately. We'll need every ship we can gather. As they began discussing strategies, Mira felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. She had spent so long fighting against the darkness, and now it was time to unite their forces and lead them into battle. Thorn, I want you to lead the ground teams, Mira instructed. Coordinate with the local defense forces and prepare for the assault on the Nyx supply routes. Consider it done, Thorn replied, his voice filled with conviction. Ryan, you're with me, Mira continued, her gaze focused on the holographic map. We'll coordinate the aerial strikes and provide cover for the ground teams. On it, Ryan confirmed, his fingers tapping on the console to gather the necessary intel. As they finalized their plans, the atmosphere in the room shifted. A sense of unity began to fill the air, and Mira could see the determination in the faces of her crew and the council members. They were ready to fight, ready to stand against the darkness that threatened to engulf them all. Let's move quickly, Alara urged, her voice ringing with authority. We don't have a moment to lose. With their plans in place, the crew of the Aegis rushed to prepare for battle. Mira felt a mix of excitement and anxiety as they gathered their equipment, knowing that the fate of the colonies rested in their hands. Ryan, are the coordinates for the first target set? Mira asked, glancing over her shoulder as she tightened the straps on her armor. Almost there, Ryan replied, his eyes fixed on the holographic display. We'll hit the Nyx supply depot near the outskirts of the settlement. It's lightly defended, but we need to move quickly before they reinforce. Good. Let's show them what we're made of, Mira said, her heart racing with adrenaline. As the crew boarded the Aegis, Mira felt a surge of purpose. They were no longer just a group of misfits. They were a united force, ready to take a stand against the Nyx. The engines roared to life, and the ship lifted off, the landscape of Haven 7 shrinking beneath them. Engaging thrusters, Ryan announced, guiding the ship toward the first target. We'll be in and out before they even know what hit them. Mira took a deep breath, her mind focused on the mission ahead. They had fought against impossible odds before, and this time would be no different. They had the element of surprise on their side, and they would use it to their advantage. As they approached the supply depot, Mira's pulse quickened. The Nyx forces were spread thin, their attention focused elsewhere. All right, team, she said, her voice steady. We'll initiate the attack with aerial bombardment. Ryan, provide cover fire. Thorn, coordinate the ground teams. Understood, Ryan replied, his fingers flying over the controls as he prepared the weapon systems. Deploying drones now? Thorn added, his voice filled with determination. We'll create a distraction while we move in. The Aegis soared over the supply depot, the Nyx forces oblivious to their presence. Mira could see the makeshift defenses erected around the perimeter, but they were no match for the firepower they brought with them. Commence the attack, Mira commanded, her heart racing as Ryan launched the first round of strikes. Explosions rocked the depot, bright flashes lighting up the sky as the drones unleashed a torrent of fire. Mira watched as the Nyx forces scrambled to respond, their disarray evident in the chaos. Now's our chance, Thorn shouted, rallying the ground teams. Move in. With a fierce battle cry, Thorn led the charge, his team following closely behind. Mira felt a surge of adrenaline as she watched them storm the depot, their determination palpable. Covering fire, Ryan shouted, unleashing a barrage of energy blasts toward the retreating Nyx forces. The air crackled with energy as the team fought their way through the chaos. Mira guided the Aegis lower, providing aerial support as her crew advanced. The sounds of battle echoed around them, and she could see the determination in Thorn's eyes as he pushed forward. Keep pushing. We can't let them regroup, Thorn shouted, his voice filled with conviction. As they fought, Mira felt a surge of pride. They were a united force, working together to dismantle the Nyx's operations piece by piece. Every shot fired, every enemy ship downed, was a testament to their resolve. More forces incoming, Ryan warned, his eyes fixed on the sensors. We need to wrap this up before they overwhelm us. Thorn, how's the situation on the ground? Mira asked, her heart racing. We're making progress, but we need to take out their command center to disrupt their communications, Thorn replied, determination etched on his face. Let's move, Mira commanded. We'll hit the command center together. Ryan, cover us from above. The team advanced through the chaos, their resolve unyielding as they fought their way toward the heart of the depot. Explosions rocked the ground around them, but they pressed on, knowing that the fate of the colonies rested in their hands. As they approached the command center, Mira could see the enemy forces gathering, their faces twisted with fury as they prepared to defend their stronghold. Ryan, hold the perimeter, Thorn shouted, taking charge. We'll breach the doors and neutralize the command staff. On it, Ryan replied, unleashing a volley of fire to keep the Nyx forces at bay. Mira could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins as they charged forward, the command center looming before them. They crashed through the doors, weapons raised and ready for battle. The interior was a labyrinth of consoles and monitors, the flickering screens displaying live feeds of the chaos outside. Nyx soldiers scrambled to respond, their expressions shifting from surprise to anger. Push forward, Thorn commanded, his voice cutting through the noise. We need to take out their command staff. Mira felt the weight of the moment settle over her as they fought their way through the room. Each Nyx soldier they encountered fell under the precision of their weapons, their determination unyielding. Clear, Thorn shouted, and they moved deeper into the command center, searching for the heart of the operation. They found it in a room at the back, a large circular chamber filled with holographic displays and a group of Nyx leaders gathered around a central console. Mira could see the fear in their eyes as they realized the threat before them. Stop right there, one of the leaders shouted, raising a weapon in defiance. Mira stepped forward, her voice steady. It's over. You've terrorized our colonies for too long. Surrender, and you may yet have a chance to survive this. The leader sneered, shaking his head. You think you can intimidate us? We are the Nyx. We will never surrender. With a swift motion, he aimed his weapon, but before he could fire, Thorn lunged forward, tackling him to the ground. The rest of the crew followed suit, engaging in a fierce struggle as the room erupted into chaos. Mira fought alongside her team, determination surging through her as they battled the Nyx leaders. The fight was fierce, but their unity gave them strength, and one by one, the Nyx leaders fell. Secure the console, Mira shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. We need to disable their communications. Ryan rushed to the central console, fingers flying over the controls as he worked to shut down the Nyx systems. I'm locking them out now. This will disrupt their communications across the sector. Good, keep going, Mira urged, her heart racing as she dispatched the last of the Nyx leaders. With a final surge of energy, Ryan hit the final command, and the holographic displays flickered before going dark. The silence that followed felt deafening, a testament to their victory. Command center secured, Thorn said, breathless as he surveyed the room. We did it. Mira felt a rush of relief wash over her. They had taken a significant step toward dismantling the Nyx's operations. Now let's regroup with the ground teams and prepare for extraction. As they exited the command center, the sound of victory filled the air. The Nyx forces were in disarray, their leadership dismantled, and their operations compromised. Mira led her crew back to the Aegis, their hearts filled with hope. The tide had begun to turn, and together they would continue to fight for the future of the colonies. As they lifted off the ground, Mira glanced back at the chaotic scene below, her heart filled with determination. This was just the beginning. They would not rest until the Nyx were defeated once and for all. Back to the command center, Mira instructed Ryan as they navigated through the chaos. "We need to regroup and plan our next move." Ryan nodded, his fingers deftly maneuvering the controls. "We'll be there in no time." As they soared through the skies, Mira felt a sense of purpose settle over her. They had fought against impossible odds, and now they were on the cusp of victory. They were a united front, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Upon their return to the command center, Alara greeted them with a mixture of relief and determination. "You did it! The Nyx supply routes are in disarray, and we've gained valuable intel on their operations." "We've disrupted their command," Mira replied, her heart racing with excitement. "But this is just the beginning. We need to strike while the iron is hot and continue our offensive." Alara nodded, her gaze fierce. "We're mobilizing our forces for a counteroffensive. Together, we will push back against the Nyx and reclaim our territory." As the council convened to discuss their next steps, Mira felt a renewed sense of hope. They were no longer fighting alone, they had allies, and together they would stand against the darkness that threatened their existence. "Prepare for a full-scale assault," Alara commanded, her voice steady. "We'll take the fight directly to the Nyx and dismantle their operations once and for all." Mira felt a surge of determination as the crew rallied together, ready to face the challenges ahead. They had come so far, and they would not back down now. The call to arms echoed across the colonies, and as ships mobilized and alliances strengthened, Mira felt the weight of history resting on their shoulders. This was their moment, their chance to unite against a common enemy. As the Aegis prepared for departure, Mira took a moment to reflect. They had fought through darkness and chaos, and now they stood on the precipice of change. The battle ahead would be fierce, but they would face it together. "Let's move out," Mira commanded, her heart racing with anticipation. "For Haven 7, for our future." As they launched into the stars, the universe spread before them, a tapestry of possibilities waiting to be woven into reality. They were a united force, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they would forge a new destiny, one that would stand against the darkness and light the way for generations to come. Thank you for journeying with us through the cosmos. We hope you found our exploration of the stars as captivating and thought-provoking as we did. Each tale we share is a gateway to new worlds, inviting you to imagine the infinite possibilities that lie beyond our own. If you enjoyed this adventure and wish to support our mission, we encourage you to like this video and share it with fellow space enthusiasts. Your engagement is the fuel that propels our ship forward, helping us uncover more riveting stories from the universe. Additionally, subscribing to our channel ensures you won't miss any of our future explorations. Join our growing community of explorers and dreamers as we delve into the mysteries of space and beyond. Together, we can embark on countless adventures, pushing the boundaries of imagination and discovery. Thank you once again for being part of this cosmic journey. Until our paths cross again among the stars, keep dreaming, keep exploring, and let your curiosity guide you.